An historic day for the ARCA Racing Series. 43 drivers are about to take the green flag at the World Center of Racing. To bring the cars to life, we need the command to start engines. And doing the honors is Greg Miller from AutoZone.
And now, race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome back your Grand Marshal, Senior Product Manager for AutoZone, Greg Miller.
Drivers, start your engines.
For big league stock car racing, the new season starts here. It is every driver's dream to race at Daytona. Green flag in the air, we're underway. It can also turn into a nightmare. Oh, and a big hit on the 60th. Today, a full lineup of veterans and rookies take on this 2.5-mile oval. Bobby Gerhart is looking for his 6th Daytona win. 9-time series champion Frank Kimmel still racing for his first. This race may also see the first woman to win, as several top female drivers will start today. From those ranks, the media spotlight has focused on open-wheel star Danica Patrick's first foray into stock car racing. Two-wheel racing legend Ricky Carmichael is also here, determined to build his four-wheel racing resume. It's the first big race of the season. Big track. Big risks. And big rewards. It's 200 miles of white-knuckle racing from Daytona as the ARCA Racing Series opens up the 2010 racing season. Welcome to Daytona International Speedway for the 47th annual Lucas Oil Slick Mist 200. There are plenty of big stories surrounding the ARCA race today, but none bigger than a 27-year-old from Roscoe, Illinois by the name of Danica Patrick. Wendy Venturini has been following this story since she announced she was going to go stock car racing just over a month ago.
Yes, Rick, and the sports media have been following the Danica story, from her move from Indy cars to stock cars, and finally the day has come. Danica Patrick making her debut in stock cars. No longer will the media be writing about it. Now they'll be watching one of the most anticipated race of speed weeks. I spoke with her earlier. Danica, you're a true racer. When we come to Daytona, the goal is to win for everybody, but at how much do you have to take that? You want to get seat time, but also put yourself in a position to win. What's going to be more important today?
I think, I want to make sure I get it through as much as the race as possible. Hopefully nothing bad happens at the beginning, because I do need that seat time. It's not going to do me any good if I'm not getting it. But I think if we're out there and we just play it cool and be smart, I really think that I think that we can make it to the end and be in some kind of contention. But I'm just going to try and be smart out there. I'm really hoping to get this GoDaddy car to the front of the field and have a good result, and also the other GoDaddy car did pretty darn good today too, with Mark qualifying on the pole, so it's pretty exciting for all of GoDaddy and Bob Parsons who put it all together. Your crew chief Tony Uri Jr. said you walked pit road this morning. You studied the 2009 ARCA Daytona race. Why are these small details so important? They're not really small because I've never seen the way a start looks. So, it was important for me to see how long everybody was double wide through the corners, and also just to know where those timing lines are, and to also know, where the pit lane really does end and how it works. It's, there are sections, little, like 2 sections that you have to go by. It's just new for me. So, and it's just therapeutic. You go out there, even with Tony, we just see it all. I want to know where my pit box was, because unlike an Indy car, first time you see your pit box is the first stop. And it's those small details that could get Danica Patrick to victory lane. Good luck today. Thank you.
And thank you, Wendy. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, Darrell Waltrip with you for today's race. Now, one of the biggest statistics I saw there, 81 starts. So a veteran race car driver but her first ever start in stock cars, Daryl.
Yeah, and you know, I was worried about the start, but I just thought about it. She's already used to starting 3 wide at Indy, so this will probably be a piece of cake today.
You know, she's a sponge. She was asking so many questions of Tony Jr. and really all the other guys, Kelly Byers, her JR Motorsports teammate. She really, really wants to learn. She said a few moments ago she really would like to get the bulk of this race in to get some experience, but at the end of the day, she's a competitor, a very fierce competitor, and I know she's going to want to win.
She's not the only story in the field today. We've also got 42 other drivers that are going to be trying to make a story for themselves. And with the story, we go down to Jim Trado.
And Rick, 51 cars came here for the biggest stage and the biggest race of the ARCA Racing Series season. They all had their eyes focused on a few cars. One of them starts up front, a familiar place at the finish last year. We caught up with the pole sitter a moment ago. And James Busher takes this car that he won with a year ago back to the front of the field in qualifying. James Busher, I've got to ask you about the mood right now as we're moments away from what could be a second straight victory in a familiar race car.
I mean, it's good for everybody involved. I mean, 51 Phoenix construction cars, obviously really fast. We were fastest in practice, won the pole, and hopefully we can go lead every lap and win the race. But I know that's a lot to ask for, but I think we're capable of doing it. It's the same car that I started from the back with last year and won, like you said, and hopefully starting it up front makes it a little easier than last year.
Very strong piece, and again, a full nationwide schedule for him. So as important it is to win, he's here for the W, and that's it, guys.
Thank you, Jim. Cars again rolling around the racetrack. We're about ready to get the green flag to kick off the 2010 season. Stay with us here on Speed. Find out who moves to the front first. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Lucas Slick Mist, the fast and easy car care products. By RE/MAX. Find your dream home at RE/MAX.com. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards. Welcome back to the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. 43 cars making their way around the 2.5-mile, very high banked oval. Your starting grid. Your Burger King starting grid starting to roll across the top of the screen. That will continue as we want to take a little closer look at our track description.
Let's take a look at our Russell Stover track description. DW, 2.5 miles of corners, 31 degrees banking. That trial there in the front straightaway, that's a turn.
It is, and it's really fast. It's very deceiving how fast you go through the trial. The other big thing, Phil, is the bumps. This track has a lot of almost like waves, like you're going across water. The car really wants to porpoise. That creates a lot of problems.
Let's talk strategy. Let's take a look at our race description as far as what's going to take place.
As you can see, 80 laps, 200 miles, 43 cars starting this race, at 9 rookies in this race, 6 female drivers in this race. And the pit window for this race, Daryl, is about 55 or 60 laps. I was talking to James Finch, who owns a pole-winning car driven by James Busher, and he said that he's won this race 3 times before, and he's never put tires on any one of those 3 races.
No, they have a great tire, and you know, if you don't need them, don't put them on. It's just time in the pits.
Before we see the green flag, let's go back pit road and Wendy Venerini.
Bobby Gerhart is one of the most experienced veterans in the ARCA Series, especially here at Daytona. He has 5 wins. Last year, he was white-knuckling it around the racetrack. This year, he has a much more difficult setup. He said he wants to keep his car stiff and have a more comfortable ride, and he's starting 8th today for Bobby Gerhart. Let's head over to Jim Trado.
And Wendy, Fred Kimmel has been in this race since 1992. He's a 9-time champion, but he's 0-for at the Daytona Motor Speedway. Daytona International Speedway has never been the track that he's had great success at. This car raced at Talladega and with his son last year here at Daytona. Also a driver to keep your eye on, Bill Baird in the 52 machine. He is 60 years of age. If he was to win today and back up those top 3 finishes at Daytona and Talladega with this race car, he'll become the oldest race winner in ARCA history.
Green flag in the air. We're underway with the 2010 season. James Busher was on the inside of row number 1 and that number 51, and he's first to go into turn 1.
Yeah, Joey Coulter jumps in behind him in the 16 car. See Danica on the outside.
They're worried about 2 wide, already 3 wide. Be interesting to see what Danica decides to do here. If she tries to stay up here in this lead draft, or if she kind of finds her way to maybe a little safer spot.
There's Danica right there following Patrick Shelter. That was one of the drivers they talked about, that she was going to be very comfortable driving around. Frank Kimmel was another one of those drivers.
And he's right behind Danica in that number 44. Patrick Shelter driving the camouflage number 60.
These cars are they're a little bit evil on the first couple laps. Got a little bit of a lower air pressure. Got to wait for those pressures to come up a little bit to get really comfortable.
And remember, the final practice that they were going to do all their drafting yesterday was rained out. So most of these drivers have not done any drafting at all since the test. Some of them not even there.
Yeah, and right now with all these cars right here all bunched up, this is when the wake turbulence and all the air coming off the other cars is going to affect your car the most.
You saw that monster Toyota right there, Ricky Carmichael jumping around in the corner.
Frank Kimmel riding along with him in the number 44 car. We got a glimpse of Danica just in front. Danica's strategy was to stay on the yellow line.
Yeah, every lap I saw her race or practice here yesterday and the day before, she never got off of that yellow line. I mean, she had those left tires on the line the whole time.
How difficult is that to see? I'm seeing a glare through the windshield as they come out of turn 4.
Not too bad right now. You just start to race windshields clean, but as that windshield gets kind of dirty and pecked up, coming off of 4, sometimes there's a little blind spot for a second.
And remember, not many pit stops. If these guys go green a long time, they can go, guys and ladies, they can go, at least 55 laps. So it's not like they're going to get an opportunity to do tear-offs all the time.
Over halfway of this race, since it's only an 80-lap race, it's a sprint.
Yeah, but you know what I like already, and it's great for Danica, is they're already single file. And now this will give her a chance to kind of relax a little bit, get comfortable with the car, and be able to give Tony Jr. some feedback here very shortly. So I like the way things are going for her right now.
The field has spread out. James Busher out front. Joey Coulter in the 16. He moved up a spot. Mikey Kyle dropped back 1 to 3rd. Brian Silas holds on to 4th. And Nelson Piquet, another name we haven't talked a lot about, but up into the top 5.
Yeah, Formula One driver, great driver, making his start here today. Got a lot of rookies in the field with good experience.
I talked to Nelson Piquet Jr. just before the race started, and he's been under the weather. He actually took some IV at the Infield Care Center, and he didn't come down here for the test, Daryl. He has never tested, never drafted in one of these cars.
Yeah, you know what? I'm watching Danica's eyes, and she's not looking around. She is focused on that yellow line. That's all she's looking at right now. She never even looked behind her. Watch. She's not using the mirrors or anything else. She is concentrating on staying on that yellow line.
She's probably already moved the steering wheel more in this race than she does in a 500-mile race in Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's something that some of these drivers that come from Indy have to get used to. You got to crank on these cars. Most IndyCar drivers want it to drive like a go-kart. And you just can't do that in a big, heavy stock car like this. You got to crank that steering wheel.
And that's one of the reasons she said everything was so different from what she's used to. The movement of the cars, moving around side to side, up and down. She's not used to that feeling.
Still single file for about the top 10, even back to 15. James Busher held on to the top spot after starting on the pole. Joey Coulter was able to move up a spot into 2nd. Mikey Kyle dropped back to 3rd.
How about Nelson Piquet Jr. right now running in the 5th spot? Again, never drafted, never been in a stock car before. He did a couple Truck Series tests. He's actually going to run the Camping World Truck Series race next week for Red Horse Racing. First race in a stock car running in the top 5 right now.
You got to admit, Eddie Sharp's got some pretty nice cars, and if you're going to get in a car for the first time, that would be the team I'd want to go with.
Fairly calm for the first 5.5 laps from Daytona International Speedway. A lot of drivers trying that strategy of staying right on the yellow line.
Yeah, of course, that means you can't get past on the left if you're on the yellow line. So, it takes a little bit of that having to watch somebody behind you where they're going to go. They're going to go outside.
And if they have help. I mean, one car probably is not going to pass a pack.
Shelter sideways, big time sideways.
Shelter up to the high side of the track. We see Ricky Carmichael up through the middle as well.
That was a nice save.
My goodness, that thing got loose. Not sure why. It just looked like the car just kind of turned sideways with him, but great job of saving it.
Looked like he was by himself. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened to Patrick and what caused him to get sideways. You see him right behind that 55 car.
Phil, there's a tail. You got a big wind down the back straightaway, and if it's going to affect these cars, it's going to affect them getting into turn 3. I think he just was running really fast right there, and the car just got loose.
Problems on the racetrack. The 52.
Bill Baird
with more problems. Cars coming in. We've got accidents on the racetrack.
That looks like Leilani Munter right there.
Leilani Munter involved. Numerous cars involved in this one. Coming out of turn number 2, the problems started in 2, and they continue on to the start of the backstretch.
Unbelievable.
That many cars blocked right there.
Unbelievable. That many cars would get in that wreck.
6 cars stopped right there on the racetrack.
Look at that.
Bill Baird in the 52.
That's Steve Blackburn, the car closest to us.
The 90 of Leilani Munter, like you mentioned earlier.
That's Milka Duna in the 90.
Oh, Milka Duna in the 90, excuse me.
See, Bill Baird, the 52 car.
He's sideways.
Just gets sideways and tries to catch it. Catches it one time, just can't get a hold of it, and takes Steve Blackburn up to the outside wall. Obviously, these banks are self-cleaning. They're going to come down the hill. There's Tim George in the 31. Looks like he may have avoided it.
And after they come down the racetrack, then other cars thinking they were going to clear it get into this as well.
It just always amazes me that, you know, here's our big wreck, and cars are so far back, but they continue to pile in here. Watch, here comes a bunch of other cars that just did not slow down.
Here's real time right here. See Bill Baird, he gets sideways and takes Steve Blackburn hard on the outside wall. And again, they're going to come on down the hill. And there's so much smoke there too, Darrell. And you see a lot of guys trying to take evasive action.
You know, Phil, they always told us that here comes some other cars that just can't get slowed down. They always told us in the drivers' meetings, if you get loose, crank it left and lock it down.
Yeah, that's a good view right there of all that smoke, Darrell. So all these drivers coming in here, even though they were trying to slow down, realize these cars are just about stopped, and they were trying to slow down from 180 miles an hour.
Butch Jarvis in the 0, sliding by our cameras. Chad Hackenbrack in the number 58, also involved in this incident.
Well, we had
Safety
about
crews immediately to him.
10 cars back there, you think?
There were 6 stopped on the racetrack on the backside, but there were numerous cars with minor damage that were.
Yeah, here's one right here on pit road now.
Hal Martin, the 17 car, with some damage.
The 14 sneaked through, but had a little bit of damage as well from Chase Mattioli.
Yeah, he's down here on pit road. He's got problems.
Looks like Russ Duggar in the 12 car. I saw one of the crew guys say, no, it's all over.
Yeah.
So they'll pull that car behind the wall. The first big one takes place at Daytona. We'll be right back. Thursday, NASCAR's back, and we're there in Daytona for a pair of races on the high banks. Be there as the field is set for the 500. The Gatorade Duel at Daytona, Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed.
It's going to be a lot of finger biting before those Thursday races aren't there, Darrell.
There always is, and sometimes, most of the time, those are 2 of the best races you'll see down here all weekend.
We've got so many cars down here, 54 cars down here, and
19 of them.
19 of them want to try to race their way in, and there's only 2 positions per race that actually transfer in.
Allie Owens is going to receive the Aaron's Lucky Dog. She actually came onto pit road prior to that caution coming out to tighten her belt. She was a little nervous that the belts weren't tight enough, so she was a lap down. She gets that lap back courtesy of Aaron's.
Well, that's a good call by her. You don't want to ride around here with loose belts, so that's a great heads-up move by her.
I've actually had them. I've actually hooked my glove in them before and unsnapped them, and that's a very uncomfortable feeling to be on a racetrack with no seat belts.
How quick did you come in the pits?
ASAP.
Let's take another look at what happened here on lap number 7. Field coming through turns 1 and 2.
Watch that black and white car, the 52 of Bill Baird. That's Kenny Schrader's car, our buddy. See him gets loose and then just can't quite catch up with it. Takes Steve Blackburn into the outside wall. Then some cars are going to start piling in.
31 did a good job of getting through. But that was about it. Everybody here from here on back just keeps coming.
And Leilani Munter's in there, Russ Duggar.
Here comes cars that,
see, those cars came along way too fast. DW.
Yeah, I mean, there's that white car. I couldn't see the number. I mean, he never checked up. I'm sure they have spotter meetings, and I'm sure the spotters they got to be telling these guys to back it down.
I mean, if nothing else, tell their driver caution's out. Slow down.
Do something.
Way too many cars came in there.
Look,
that one coming through way too quick. Another one making contact, the 99.
Those last 3 or 4 cars, they should not have been in that wreck.
Again, out in front, still it's James Busher, Joey Coulter, Mikey Kyle, Brian Silas, Nelson Piquet Jr. Those are your top 5.
You know, Phil, and you hate to be critical of any driver out, but there are basic things that you need to understand. And one of them is when the caution comes out or when you see smoke, stop. Don't keep going. Stop.
So the field will line back up as the safety crews and track officials continue to clean up the debris on the backstretch, just the exit of turn number 2. Let's go back down to pit road and Wendy Venturini.
Well, we figured we'd check in with Danica on the radio, figure out how she was doing in these first few laps. She feels pretty good on and off the gas. That's what she's getting comfortable with right now. And Daryl was right. It was a good break for her to get a few green flag laps and get a little bit of a rest, give some feedback to crew chief Tony Uri Jr. If you look on the pit box, they've been discussing the car. She said the car can go anywhere she wanted, even on cold tires, and it is feeling pretty good. The biggest advantage for Danica at this point during this caution, the car that was pitted in front of her was involved in the wreck, the 17 of Hal Martin, so they do have a pit opening when she goes to leave pit road, and that was a very big concern going into today's race.
Yeah, you know, when there's no way, this is the best scenario that Danica could have right now. Got single file in a hurry. Now we got a little break here. Catch your breath, get you some Gatorade, and tell me about the car. And I think this is really a good break for her. You
know, that's another thing that Tony Jr. was telling me that Danica was really concerned with is making pit stops. She did a lot of pit stop practicing coming in. Even when they tested, he said that she would, every time she came in the pit, she would come in like she was going to make a pit stop, try to get stopped in her box just about every single time, because that's where a lot of people make a lot of mistakes, is on pit road.
Right in front of Danica Patrick in the running order is 5-time race winner Bobby Gerhardt. See if she follows him toward the front. James Bushell still out in the front. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Hershey's Milk and Milkshakes. Try a new way to indulge in Hershey's. By GoDaddy.com, where you can make your website your domain with a .com name for less than $1 a month. And by Ansel, for over 100 years, the world leader in hand protection. Again, under our first caution from Daytona International Speedway in the 2010 season, and this is why.
See the black and white car. That's Bill Baird, the 52, former champion of the series, driving Kenny Schrader's car. Just gets sideways and then tries to catch it. Looked like he caught it one time, then it gets away from him.
Yeah, what happened was he went into one real low, and as the car obviously was a little bit too free, and as he tried to chase it up the racetrack, had to put some wheel in it, back end came around, and then he just couldn't keep up.
A lot of drivers doing a good job getting by on the inside, but then it looks like some drivers made some contact possibly, and then they guessed high, and unfortunately they hadn't cleared the bank yet.
Yeah, what goes up always comes down here at Daytona. It's kind of a rule. If you're going to miss it high.
10 involved in this one. Those are the drivers.
Leilani Munter and Milka Duna both involved, 2 of our 6 lady drivers in the race. Josh Richards, great dirt track racer, also involved in the 99 car.
A few cars making their way back onto pit road for more adjustments, fixes.
One of those cars is Bobby Gerhardt. You see him right there, the Lucas car, the number 5 car. It's a bit early.
Nope, little strategy, I'd say. You know, probably in that pit. Were they in the pit window? What did we run for laps?
I don't think we're quite in the pit window.
No, we're not.
55 to 60. That's why I wondered. But you know, there was so much debris over there, DW. Bobby may have felt like he ran through some debris and said, "Hey, let's don't take a chance. Get some tires on this thing. A lot of time left."
Yeah, well, I also think, Phil, with the, you know, these guys run a 22-gallon fuel cell, and when you get in that pit window on fuel, you know the tires will make it. The guy won last year didn't change, so you know the tires will make it. Get the fuel, and you're done.
Bobby had problems with tires a year ago. He had 2 flat tires in this race. Wendy Venturini.
And Bobby Gerhardt has taken advantage of this pit stop. They're going under the hood, so it's more than just tires for Bobby Gerhardt. We're going to check in and see exactly what's wrong underneath that hood and get back to you, Rick.
Thank you, Wendy.
Maybe I hope I don't see any fluid coming out. It could have been water, maybe, but got something hit the radiator, but I don't see any fluid coming out.
So the 5-time race winner is on pit road. They look like they pulled a piece of tape off, maybe temperature causing problems for Bobby. We'll be back. Friday, the trucks are back, and we're there in Daytona for the clashes, crashes, and high-banked excitement. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series season opener Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed.
DW, you're going to join us for that, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, buddy. I'm going to be with you a few times this year. Have some fun. Me and you and Rick, and Michael maybe even going to join us every now and then.
I believe so. A very historic series is ARCA, and it started back in 1953 with John Markham. Actually, I think under some of the guidance of Bill France Sr.
Yeah, actually Markham worked for a Senior for a while. I actually raced against him some, but yeah, he started this series in the Midwest, and they ran their first race here in 1964. And Mr. France and John Markham were a lot alike. They took care of the guys. It was like a family to them, and certainly this event has grown. There he is.
There's
and
grandfather right there.
One of the things he used to do was he always had a pocket full of silver dollars, and if he liked you, or at least that's what he told me, he'd give you a silver dollar. Of course, I found out later on he gave everybody a silver dollar, but
that's Mr. Markham right there with Big Bill.
There's Big Bill and Mr. Markham, and Big Bill always kind of liked to have a backup. You never know when you might need some drivers or some cars if something didn't go right on the NASCAR circuit.
There's a much younger Chris Economaki.
Yep.
Talking to John Markham.
I was on the pole at Nashville in an ARCA race, and there's A.J. Foyt. And I was on the pole at Nashville, and he came over to me. I was a good bit faster than everybody else. And just before the race started, he stuck his head in the window, and he said, "You like to go fishing?" I said, "I hate fishing. I never fished in my life." He said, "You stink up my show. Me and you going to come in. We're going to sit and talk about fishing for a while."
Well, it's one of the most diverse stock car series, obviously, in the world. They race on super speedways, road courses, short tracks, as well as dirt tracks. So it's a very diverse series.
These bad boys, when they get on some of those dirt tracks now, the mile dirt is what they run. What, Springfield
and DeCoin.
And DeCoin. Great racing.
Jim Trado.
Just an update, guys, on John West Townley. He's in one of 5 Venturini Motorsports cars. He's running 7th currently. His spotter, who's been working with him since last year in his transition to NASCAR, is NASCAR champion David Green. The entire time that team has been discussing, did we run something over? How they found out they may have an issue. Billy Venturini, monitoring all 5 of his teams, came on and said, "Hey, David Green, make sure you tell your team you might have run something over. Talk to our spotter," being one of the other teams of Venturini Motorsports. They're going to keep John West Townley out there. This young man knows how to race this racetrack. He finished 4th in this race a year ago, but that veteran leadership and the potential tandem of the Venturini Motorsports may come into play.
That's one of his team cars right behind him. The 55 car driven by Steve Arpin, so he's got a good teammate to check out his tires.
Yeah, we're on one. No, I guess we're not on one to go.
Well, they're signaling one to go, but normally they turn the lights off.
Yeah, Flagman gave one to go, and maybe the pace car driver didn't get the message.
The pace car driver was actually, or the passenger was holding one finger up as well, so I think they just forgot to turn the lights off on the pace car. We're still seeing one finger in the air.
Yeah, I think they just turned it.
There, the lights went off.
The lights went off, so.
It is next time by. The green flag will fly once again. James Busher will once again bring the field to the green flag. Wendy.
Our 5-time winner at Daytona in the ARCA Series, Bobby Gerhart, on pit road again. And this time, they're making some more tape adjustments, putting more fuel in it. The problem was Bobby's car could not suck up in traffic. He was not pleased at all with the way the car was running. Keep in mind, he came to this race with a more conservative setup than he came in the 2009 Daytona race. So Bobby Gerhart had his crew chief, Billy Gerhart, make some tape adjustments, sealing up the front, and he hopes that the car will now suck up.
Looked like they might have been working around the air box at the bottom of the windshield base there. That air box is very critical, particularly when it comes to whether the car will suck up or not. They may have made some sort of a little adjustment there. I'm not sure.
And these guys really concentrate on this race because they test at Daytona, they go to Talladega and additionally test. So they really spend a lot of time concentrating on their effort on a super speedway.
Well, you don't win here 5 times and not know something about this joint.
Yep.
So whatever he's doing, I might want to do it myself.
Bobby Gerhart has 6 wins in the series, and they all have come on super speedways. 5 here and 1 at Talladega.
It's always a good piece. Well, it'll be interesting to see. Is that 51 car so fast that nobody can pull out, or is somebody going to try to race him?
It's another new thing for Danica. This is a restart. She had an initial start, did great. Now she has a restart.
Field coming back into the tri-oval. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway.
I think Danica started to dip to the bottom, and somebody must have hollered at her to stay up there until you get past the start-finish line, because she almost made a move there.
3 wide right in front of her.
And cars coming fast behind her. Problems right there in front of her. Sliding down in turn number 1. It's the 22. Oh, and again we've got problems. Craig Ghost in the 81 slides into the 22 of Dakota Armstrong.
Dakota was running in the 6th position.
I think that sometime that engine on the restart looked like it just started smoking. But for the life of me, don't know why that other guy hit him.
Dakota Armstrong slid down on the apron. Let's take another look.
What looks like he's holding the field up a little bit. He's got John West Townley behind him. Looks like probably some contact there.
Oh, he got a push. Yeah, it wasn't the engine so much.
He slides back up the racetrack, and that's when the 81 of Craig Ghost slides into him.
Danica moves up the racetrack to give him a little bit more room.
They get all bottled up here going down in the corner. Yeah, and the 22 gets a bump from behind. Up the track he goes.
But see, now there's plenty of time here, and it comes down the bank.
Yep.
The 81 car has actually started to go to the outside and then turn left at the last second. The 22 was already coming down the hill.
One of the things that you don't know because you're limited experience, but the cars are going to come back down the racetrack. That's just what they do. They go up, hit the wall, or they go up and then they come right back down. So stay high. If you just stay high, you only got to miss him once.
And guys, in that situation, Dakota, I mean, should have had that thing locked down, but he came right back up the racetrack coming off of the apron.
Yeah. That's expected. I mean, you hit that flat, the car's going to go back up the hill. But what you learn as you race here is he's going to come up the hill, but he's going to go back down. So you only have to miss him once if you stay high.
We're really talking more in terms of the 81 car of Craig Ghost.
Yeah,
not the 22.
The 22 couldn't help what happened to him. He got a little help.
Here's just entering turn 1.
As a matter of fact, he got a lot of help.
Yeah, there's no way, I don't believe, Rick, that he could have kept that car down on the apron as fast as he was going down there.
Craig ends his day. Jim Trado.
Just a quick update, guys. When I heard the radio chatter between the 22 driver, Dakota Armstrong, the crew asked him, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah, guys, I had a tire going down into turn 1, so he tried everything he could to get out of the way, but obviously it was not enough in his first attempt here at Daytona."
Well, it's a tough finish to a quick race for Dakota Armstrong as well as Craig Ghost. 2 cars involved in the second accident here at Daytona. Welcome back to the Lucas Oil Slick Mist 200. We're under our second caution of the race. It comes out on lap number 17. Let's take another look.
Yeah, we were watching this on a replay. Phil and I were, and if you watch the replay of this restart, you'll see that the 22 car, as we let this roll out here.
This is Danica. She gets a good run. She dips to the inside because they're really kind of seized up in front of her. Then she pulls back in line. But watch, see the yellow car.
Watch up here.
That's John West. Look at that right rear tire on that 22 car. It's already flat.
Right there, his right. You can see the right rear tire right there is flat.
Yeah, I think he's. You know, we thought maybe John West ran in the back of him. That right rear tire caused him to go around, DW.
I'm surprised he didn't realize it before that restart because that tire was really flat.
Wendy, what have you got?
And to add on what Danica was doing right there, already the video that she watched last night is paying off. She said that evasive move that she just made in studying those videos last night, she saw a lot of times on the restarts in the ARCA races, especially here at Daytona, that they would hit each other on the restart at the back of your race car. So she was anticipating someone to come up on her back end and therefore took that evasive action down low. Those videos that she spent time watching already paying off for Danica early in the race.
And you know what, Wendy, every rookie ought to do what Danica has done is study some of these prior races because they would know about some of these wrecks and how to get slowed down just like she did.
Well, DW, that first accident, of the 10 cars that were involved in it, 8 of them are first-time Daytona ARCA racers.
Yeah, and you know, so you got to give them cut them a little slack because what you don't know, you don't know. And you learn the hard way sometimes.
And there sure is no substitute for experience.
No, sir.
Chase Mattioli,
unless it's a video game.
First incident, will receive the Aaron's lucky dog, so he'll get a lap back, and he will be put back on the lead lap. So.
How could you call that a lucky dog?
That's like, as lucky as you can get.
I guess that's it.
Given the fact that your car's already torn.
Yeah, it's not going to be too good.
In an aero racetrack, that is not good.
When you've got a hammer beating on your car like that, probably not a good idea.
Probably not a lot of guys going to want to draft with Chase Mattioli anymore.
You know, James Busher told Jim before the race that he wanted to lead every lap and win this thing, and so far it's working out pretty well for him.
He's hitting his goal. He led the final 44 laps in this race last year.
So that's he will have led 20 laps, so that's 64 laps in a row he's led, right?
And I'm thinking, Phil, that pretty soon here we're going to see some of these guys, particularly the back of the field, get in that fuel window. And when we give one to go, they might want to duck in and get the fuel, and they're done.
Yeah, we're 20 laps in. The pit window somewhere between 55 and 60. It's a little tougher at the beginning because you have the pace laps and the warm-up. But now, some of them may be able to make it.
We'll get the green flag when we come back to Daytona. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Alien vs. Predator, 2010's biggest multi-species, multiplayer event. By Burger King, who remind you to have it your way. And by Russell Stover Candies, America's favorite Valentine's chocolate. Welcome back. Sun setting on a portion of this racetrack. The back stretch and turns 3 and 4 are still in the sunlight, but the grandstands are shading the front stretch all the way into turns 1 and 2.
But this is about the time of day, Rick, when they're coming off turn 4, you're going to get the sun right in your eyes here for the next little bit. So got to rely on that spotter, man.
Yeah, guys, some of the drivers have been checked and released at the hospital. The 0 of Butch Jarvis, the 58 car of Chad Hackenbrack, the 68 car of Steve Blackburn, the 90 car of Milka Duna, and the 99 car of Josh Richards, all checked and released from the infield care center.
Continuing to clean the racetrack, let's go down to Wendy.
Steve Arpin, who returns in 2010 as the senior team leader for Venturini Motorsports, is complaining about the sun. Just as Daryl was talking about, that sun off of 4 is causing a lot of problems for these drivers. He wants more tape on his windshield. His spotter today, David Keith, who is most known for being a spotter on the Cub side right now for Kevin Conway. And David Keith is going to help Steve Arpin as much as he can with this sun as he looks down from the spotter stand. But when we do get into our pit window, Steve Arpin has requested a little bit more tape on that windshield.
That was a point I was going to make, Wendy. That's just another one of those lack of experience things. Most of the Cup drivers would know that you've got to put tape across that windshield right there because of the sun late in the afternoon. I don't see tape on anybody's windshield.
Yeah, at least not down through the middle of the windshield to block from the sun. A guy who's really been rising to the top, Nelson Piquet Jr. running in the 5th spot, Jim.
You want to talk about something new. Nelson Piquet is trying to make his stock car transition. He's tested in a truck, wants to run the truck series, but is committed to running in stock cars. This Brazilian has 28 Formula 1 starts, but nothing has prepared him like it has today with this number 16. This is Eddie Sharp Racing. The number 6 is what Justin Lofton carried on his race car to the championship here in ARCA in 2009. Nelson's never driven his car into the pit road, much less been on an oval racetrack and in a tin top. Up top, they have Mike Kalanoff, Matt Kenseth spotter, and Jason Overstreet, very much a part of Eddie Sharp Racing, calling the shots for this young driver. He's very comfortable in this race car right now, but there's a whole lot of radio chatter to keep this former Formula 1 driver in control, running in 5th right now. He started 7th, so a very strong qualifying run. Certainly is backed up right now with an early top 5 run for Nelson Piquet. Yes, that Nelson Piquet from Formula 1 fame.
You know, and just think about Scott Speed. He worked with Eddie Sharp and those guys, almost won the ARCA championship.
Won several races.
Eddie Sharp and his Toyota connection, he's working these Formula 1 drivers in here and making stock car drivers out of them.
Yeah, how about the 2-wheel sensation of Ricky Carmichael in the top 10?
Oh, yeah.
Currently running in the 10th spot. GOAT, they call him, exactly. Greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time.
And that's because he has done some amazing things on 2 wheels and trying to make that transition into 4.
16 AMA championships, Daryl.
He kind of reminds me of Mark Martin. Now, he's not as old as Mark, don't get me wrong, but he's got that same kind of tough guy mentality, you know.
Similar size?
Yeah, similar size, and he's really, I've never met a guy more enthusiastic than Ricky Carmichael. He wants to do this big.
Wendy Venturini.
Well, Ricky Carmichael was pretty upset when Happy Hour got rained out yesterday. He had not drafted this car here at Daytona Speed Weeks until the race started, and that was the case for a lot of these drivers. They did not do drafting practice earlier in the weekend. They only did single car runs, but for Ricky Carmichael, he felt really good about his race car. This chassis was prepared by Wintron for Taylor Motorsports. It's an old Ryan Newman Penske car from when Ryan raced for Penske. This is the 4th ARCA start for Ricky Carmichael, and he is looking to gain experience. His two other previous starts have been in ARCA here at Daytona and in the Camping World Truck Series in 2009, Ricky Carmichael really wants to get some seat time, and he said that's what he loves about the ARCA series.
Yeah, Wendy, we were just watching, we were talking about the sun and how it's bothering some of the drivers. So we're under caution right now. But let's watch Ricky Carmichael. He's got his hand, you see right here. He's holding his hand up in front of his face there as a sun visor because the sun is bothering him so badly. And that's just under caution. I don't think he'll try that when the green flag comes out.
DW, the good news is at 180 miles an hour, he won't be in the sun that long.
No, and it really doesn't last long. It'll be behind the grandstand here shortly.
And riding along with a few different drivers. You see
Danica top left.
Yep, upper left corner.
Tim George Jr. in the lower left in the RCR car, and there's Frank Kimmel lower right.
I just like I like the intensity of Danica's eyes. She is so focused. She's not looking around. She's not thinking about anything but what she needs to be doing on the racetrack.
And I like the fact that she reaches up and tugs on her belts too, David.
Yeah.
No matter how tight you get your belt, you bounce around a little bit, they loosen up. I've seen her 2 or 3 times reach down and tug those belts a little bit tighter.
I mean, the thing that we continue to talk about, it's her first foray in stock car racing, but she is a veteran race car driver with 81 open wheel starts. So
lot
she's
of experience.
Been in the seat.
Yeah, a lot of experience.
She's raced here. Just happened to be on the road course.
Yeah, that's right. Lights are off on the pace car. It will make the hard left turn onto pit road, put the field back in the hands of James Busher, who has been out front all 23 laps that have taken place up to this point. Joey Coulter, Mikey Kyle, Brian Silas, and Nelson Piquet Jr. all in the top 5. Green flag back in the air. Pretty good restart as they all cross the start-finish line. No one bottled up this time.
Danica gave herself, that last restart got her attention. She gave herself a little extra room that time.
That's how you do a start. Good job. Come on.
Sound like Mike Dillon spotting for Tim George Jr. Tim gained a couple spots in this restart.
If he listens to Dillon, well, I don't know what might happen. Come and think of it.
Dillon, the father of Austin Dillon, who will be running the full truck series this year.
He's fun to listen to as a spotter, I'm going to tell you.
He and Clint Boyer do a pretty good job, don't they? There's that sun we're talking about. There's Frank Kimmel.
Just for the short duration right there, but it sure does bother you.
Frank Kimmel running in the top 10. He's running 8th right now. He's got Ricky Carmichael behind him. Danica Patrick running 10th.
You know, it really helped when they built a new tower here a few years ago, Darrell, because when you come off 4, you didn't have the grandstands as high as they are now, and the sun was worse for longer. But now with that new tower that they built a few years ago, it's not quite as bad as it was.
Frank Kimmel looking back on Ricky Carmichael. We heard the story from NASCAR that they're going to loosen the reins a bit on the Cup drivers, allowing bump drafting. We haven't seen a lot of bumping here, primarily because the bumpers don't line up that well.
Well, these cars have a tendency to lift the car in front of them off the ground. It's got that sloop nose on them like the old car used to have. And when you run up under the back of somebody with one of these cars, you're going to get them up in the air. You're going to lift their rear tires off the ground. We got a car against the wall. Another
coming
car
off the board, upside down goes a car coming out of turn number 4.
I don't know what's
like the 48 car, possibly.
All the way around. That could be Jill George. Yes, it is. Jill George in the number 48 comes rolling to a stop at the entrance to pit road.
That car just snapped. I mean, it literally just snapped around, went straight into the outside retaining wall, and then flipped over. This car, the 29 right there, he was up against the wall coming through 3 and 4 as if he had a right front tire down. Then the 48 did something to avoid him and flipped over.
That's Jesse Smith right
in
there.
The 29 with the window net down. That's a great sign.
Yeah, Jesse Smith has made numerous pit stops this race. He's probably made at least a dozen pit stops this race.
That's Jill George in the 48. Let's take another look. Coming out of turn 4.
Look up top of your screen. You see
that's
Jesse's
the first
already
thing I saw. Oh, I see what happened. He got down on the 48 got down on the apron. The 48 got the left side tires down on the apron, and
and lost control.
Overcorrected, and the car shot right back up across the track into the outside wall and flipped over. See, watch this.
That's Jesse Smith cutting a right front tire down.
That's the 29. And see, the 48 gets down on the apron, there's a very good chance with the smoke I saw coming out of that right front of the 48, it may have cut a tire down.
Could have
been some debris from the 29 as well.
That car made an abrupt turn to the right. And amazing, the 48 it's amazing what this car does. Watch this thing.
There must be a tremendous amount of debris down on the racetrack. Watch top of your screen, top right. That's the red car, the 48 of Jill George.
That car was turning over before it ever even got to the wall. It was coming up on its side.
It was that hard of a right turn that it started to roll over, hit the top of the car on the wall, and then back onto its wheels.
You saw all that debris on the racetrack when the ARCA officials, pace car, brought the cars down off of turn number 4. They went down through the flat to avoid that entire area where all that debris is.
Man, Phil.
And look at this. Jill George, the chiropractor from Cedar Falls, Iowa, climbs out of that number 48, and she'll make her way to the ambulance to head to the infield safety care center.
I think after that lick, she may need to visit a chiropractor.
Yeah, wow.
That was crazy.
It's great to see her get out of that car, though.
Yes, most definitely. A lot of damage to that race car. Her day is done, as well as the 29 of Jessie Smith. Our third caution of the day at Daytona. You see the cars parked on the backstretch. A red flag has come out so they can clean the debris up coming out of turn number 4. The reason why we're under this red flag condition, the 29 of Jessie Smith gets up into the wall.
Top of your screen, he's already cut a tire down. Then Jill George comes along, drifts down on the apron, may have run over some debris, or just maybe the flat of the racetrack turned her around, DW.
Yeah, the apron certainly had something to do with it, but I saw smoke coming out of the right front as it started to turn hard right, as if maybe she cut a tire down, and it caused that car to get up on its side and basically slammed the car right into the wall, roof first.
Great to see her get out of the car, though. There
she gets out, and Phil, you know, just like I do, these safer barriers, oh my gosh, how did we ever make it without them?
Incredible, just incredible. And the seat technology. The seats are so much better than the headrests. I mean, we have really come a long way.
It's amazing what these guys and gals can go through today and walk away. The McDowell wreck last year at Texas.
Yeah.
Most incredible thing I'd ever seen in my life. And he raced the next day.
Yeah, pretty amazing. We've got the opportunity under this red flag condition to talk to our 9-time series champion, Frank Kimmel.
Yes, if we can raise Frank. Hey, Frank Kimmel, Phil Parsons in the speed booth. You have a copy?
Yeah, Phil, I hear you loud and clear, buddy.
Well, you're riding along there up in the top 10. You have some good cars in front of you, good cars behind you. How's that racetrack?
When we get the race, Phil, it's pretty good. It's great to be here back at Daytona, and this Ford Fusion is a great race car. I just wish we could get some green flag laps so we can show what we can do.
Frank, it looks like everybody up front just riding along against the yellow line. Is that the strategy, or we're going to have to see some passing sometime? You can't win this race running 8th.
Oh, you're exactly right. I had a couple thoughts about going the outside right there at that run, and the caution came right back out just to see what our car could do out there. But you know, right now the track's still pretty little. I think it looks pretty slick to me. It looks like these guys are having a hard time staying right on the bottom. Our Ansel Ford and Menard's car here is really running well right on the bottom line. So I think that if we get some green flag runs, we get on the bottom and pass some of these guys.
Frank, we've run 27 laps. I talked to your brother Bill, your crew chief, before the race, and he said you could probably go about 55. That gets you in your window right there. Are you guys planning on pitting on this caution flag?
We're coming in. We're going to put on tires and fuel and go to the end, see what happens. I think that new tires would be good here late in the race, but you know, with all these cautions, everybody's going to be on lead laps, so it'd probably be too hard to give up too much track position. But right now, we're just riding along, buddy.
You've had a great career, 9 championships, 70-some wins, and looking for that first one. Good luck, buddy.
I appreciate it, Phil. Thanks, bud.
You talk about wins. Frank Kimmel, Super Speedway wins 21. Bobby Gerhart has 6 Super Speedway wins. 5 of them have come at Daytona. Frank Kimmel still to find victory lane at this racetrack.
But all I can tell Frank, it took me 17 years. It took Dale about that long, 17, 18 years. Just don't give up, because when you've got a record like that and the championships he's got, just Gerhart and those guys put so much effort into Daytona and Talladega. They got a great Super Speedway program. Frank's got an all-around program.
Yeah.
He's going to have a decent car down here, but he's looking at the big picture.
Let's go back down trackside to Wendy Venerini.
And some interesting radio conversations under this yellow with Danica Patrick. It's really cool to watch and listen to her in her very first stock car race. It's the simple things we tend to forget about in stock car racing, like a red flag condition, parking the car on an angle, what fans to turn off, what exactly to do in the race car. She even asked Tony Uri Jr., do I turn off my radio? And they, without any kind of crackle on the radio, said no, leave the radio on. She also wanted to know, how long does this typically last? 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 15 minutes? So she was being very patient. She tried her drink system, which she hadn't tried yet, and she said that worked very well. So it's the simple little things, even under red flag, that Danica Patrick is learning. Jim?
And when it comes to learning on super speedways, you got to get a veteran guy involved. Well, Harold Holley has been the veteran crew chief with Joey Coulter, top 5 in the points last year, but this is a whole new ball game, Harold. They thrashed on this car last year to get to Daytona. It's a whole new ball game with your young 19-year-old racer. What have you built into this race car to keep him up front now that he's running second?
Well, we built this car before Talladega last year, and we qualified 16th with it, but you know, speedway cars are pretty much an evolution, and we learned from what we did there and came here, and we had a great test down here in December. And Joey, he's really picked up on the draft, and you know, he had a little trouble with the side draft and everything at Talladega, and we came back down and tested. And Joey was more concerned about where to put his car and finding how to use the air, and he's done a fantastic job in it. He's doing a great job in the Ripon Chevrolet, and I tell you, Joey's just came a long way. He's ready to win.
How about you and your approach with this young driver? With so many new faces in this series, he has a year underneath his belt, but it wasn't your race car last year. How have you prepared him for Daytona, much less the season?
Well, you know, Joey and I sat down and talked about the draft, and you know, Joey's he's going to engineering school, and he studies racing, and he studies tape and everything as hard as he studies to go to class. So Joey's done the majority of it himself because he's just dedicated. He's got after the weights. He's been working out with Phil Horton all winter. He's just 100% dedicated. He wants it. He wants it real bad. So we'll see what happens here.
The thoughts of Harold Holley, who's gone to victory lane in all sorts of NASCAR divisions. Bobby Hamilton Jr., of course, Jeff Green in the championship in the Nationwide Series.
We've got the 3 Cup teams as well. You know, we're not trying to boot
Thanks, man.
Take a look at the fixing of the wall here coming out of turn number 4. It's actually right where the safer barriers end. The safer barrier does stop when they come into coming out of turn 4 right there, just for a short period of time, and then it goes back in when they come through the tri-oval.
I was when we were on Danica a little bit ago there, I was sitting there, I was watching her in the car, and she looks really bored to me. She looks like she's looking around, and she takes a real deep sigh of breath here, and like, you know, hey, what are we doing anyway? How come we're not racing? The other thing I thought about is she sits in that car. Can you imagine the different feel it is for her when you sit in an Indy car, you're just in your little cocoon, and look around inside this great big, it's like getting in a bus. But look, she just looks like she's getting really bored. So, man, I'd like to be doing some racing. This is ridiculous.
Well, you mentioned IndyCar. Danica Patrick has a lot of seat time in the open wheel ranks. First woman to win an IndyCar Series race. And he's 5th in the 2009 IRL standings. And I think the 2005 IndyCar Rookie of the Year really kind of vaulted her right onto the scene.
You know, and she's no stranger to running side by side at a high rate of speed. Right. You know, the races they run at Texas and Kansas and places like that, Chicagoland, I mean, they'll run 215 miles an hour with their wheels, you know, just inches apart. So she's no stranger to that, and that part doesn't bother her. And really nothing out here bothers her. She just realizes she just doesn't know very much about these cars, and that's why she's trying to learn, and that's why she's here.
You know, I raced with Janet Guthrie, and I thought she was as good as I'd ever seen. Lynn St. James and I were teammates here in a 24-hour race one time. I've seen Sarah Fisher, but those ladies have all done a great job, but Danica has an advantage on all of them. They never won.
That's right.
And she has, and of course that's an incredible accomplishment.
We're 27 laps into this race, and before the race we heard Danica Patrick say seat time is very important, and I think she has done exactly that up to this point. She stayed out of trouble. Even when there was trouble in front of her, she avoided.
There's another view right there of that incident with Dakota Armstrong. I think she's done absolutely everything that could possibly be asked of her to this point.
Again, Danica just one of 6 female drivers that started this race. Here is where they are standing. Only 3 still remain in the race. Jill George, the most recent to fall out of the race after the big accident coming out of turn number 4. Okaduno and Leilani Muncher were involved early on in accidents.
There's people that think Allie Owens is she's got a shot at getting up there and mixing it up a little bit here as things unfold, I think.
Yeah, she's made some pit stops. That's why she's running as far back as she is right now. Jennifer Jo Cobb also has quite a bit of experience. Has run the ARCA car some, as well as some trucks, and actually going to run the truck series this year, the Camping World Truck Series, starting next week right here in Daytona.
That's right, Wendy.
Well, our leader, James Busher, has been patiently waiting for this red flag as well, and not much radio communication, not quite as much that Danica Patrick has had, other than he's pretty comfortable in the race car. He's had a good job protecting the outside line according to his team. Now, keep in mind, James Busher started from the back at this race 1 year ago and won, and at Talladega he started from the pole when he broke the transmission early in the race. This is the same exact race car that he raced at both Talladega and Daytona, and he's only been here twice in his career, ARCA and the Camping World Truck Series. Now, he has made absolutely no changes since the test session back in December. That's how happy James Busher has been with his race car at Daytona.
Thank you, Wendy. And again, the reason for this extended delay is they are continuing to work on the wall here at Daytona, where Jill George got into not only the wall, but maybe a little bit of the catch fence. We'll be right back. This February Bull Run returns to speed for a grueling new season. Bill Goldberg will push 12 teams of drivers over almost 4,000 miles to see who cracks first. The stakes are high, $200 grand in cash. The challenges are wilder and the competition is even meaner. Bull Run season premiere, that's Thursday, February 18th at 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Speed. Again, a red flag condition from Daytona International Speedway for the ARCA Racing Series. This one coming out on lap 27. James Busher started out front. He has led every lap of this race. The average speed down to 89.301 because of the 3 times we have been slowed down because of caution.
Rick, I'm really excited about the new season on Speed. I mean, we got some great programming this year, and of course we got the duels on Thursday. So, but the Race Hub and some of the other programming we're going to have this year, it's going to be a big year for all the fans, and they tune in to Speed every week. You're going to see some good racing coverage.
You can get your NASCAR fix on NASCAR Race Hub every Monday through Thursday at 7:30 p.m. right here on Speed. Let's head back trackside to Jim Trado.
And guys, when it comes to Speed, the driver who's in search of his first victory is also racing for Venturini Motorsports. Mikey Kyle in the number 25 machine has the crew together that Billy Venturini assembled last year. The car chief now in the crew chief role for this race, Kevin Reed. And Kevin, you've got a very fast race car with the car running second right now with Mikey. What's your thoughts now, the strategy for the rest of this race?
Well, as soon as they open pit road here, we're going to come here and get 4 tires and fuel and let him be on his own for the rest of the night. You know, in speedway racing, you need friends to run good here and to finish up well. So we brought our four other friends with us, and we're going to line them back up in the back and come back to the front, and hopefully one of the 5 Venturini Motorsports teams will take the trophy home tonight. Mikey Kyle's done an awesome job through testing and through practice, and we come up a little bit short yesterday in qualifying, but for an outside pole, we'll take it. Hopefully the trophy over there tonight will be a lot sweeter. With Tag Heuer coming on board, hopefully for the rest of the year. Been really good. John Dysinger gave us a really good motor for down here from Triad Technologies, and we're just looking forward to finish out the race tonight.
And there is power in numbers. If they all pit together, they'll try to race together. And Mikey Kyle, who turned 27 today, would love to deliver a birthday present to the Venturini team in their first Daytona victory.
It's really his birthday, though.
That's
he
right.
wants to deliver a birthday present to the team, but it's really his birthday.
Well, it's all about giving,
there
Phil.
You go.
It's all about giving.
It's a birthday time of year.
You had a kind of a birthday yesterday,
yes,
didn't you?
I did, and Reed Sorensen did, and I think today I think today is Ronald Reagan's birthday.
As well as Mikey Kyle.
And Mikey Kyle. And Ronald Reagan would have been 99 today.
How about that?
They're working on the fence right here. The catch fence is what they're working on right now. That's why we are under a delay. Let's go back down to Wendy.
And I'm with James Bushler's crew chief, Nick Harrison. Now, Nick, I was just chatting with you about your strategy. The problem that everybody is in is the pit window is just a tad short.
Yeah, we're just a little bit short on our pit window, but we're kind of wondering about the fence repairing if they'll cut this thing short because the Bud Shootout's coming up and all that good stuff. So we're kind of just waiting to see how long that goes, and then we'll make our decision when they get all wrapped up with that, and hopefully we can come in and everybody follows and go back out in the lead and keep on doing what we've been doing all race.
What has James said about the race car? He's been up front, so he's had the clean air in front of him, but what feedback has he given?
He says everything's driving really nice, and he's just kind of cruising right now. We got a fast car, and I think if we stay out front, we'll be in a good position to win.
All right, good luck to you guys. And of course, when I came over here to interview Nick, Mark Reno made the comment, hey, you know this isn't Danica's pit, right?
Well, there has been a lot of attention directed to that number 7 car and, of course, the driver, Danica Patrick. But we do have a great race in front of her. We have 9 cars in front of Danica Patrick, and it looks like they're firing up the jets coming out of turn 4 to clean up that racetrack. They're done with the catch fence. And let's take another look at why we're under this 3rd caution and red flag.
Check out the top of your screen. That's Jesse Smith, the 29 car. Cuts down the right front tire, gets into the outside wall, and then Jill George comes along, dips down to the apron, DW, and we don't know whether it was just the flat of the apron or maybe she ran over some debris and cut a tire down.
Yeah, it definitely launched that car up on its side, though, and that was a hard lick.
Good news is that all the drivers involved in the 2 incidents have been checked and released from the infield care center.
When's your birthday, Phil?
In June.
We'll wish him happy birthday in June. We'll be back. Crew chiefs have just told their drivers fire the cars back up. We're about to go back racing. But before we do that, we're expecting most of the field, if not all of the field, to duck onto pit road and have potentially their final service done to the race cars.
You know, we had a few drivers pit back on lap number 23, so they actually could stay out here if they wanted, maybe gamble, get some track position. Mark Thompson, Allie Owens, 2 of those cars, as well as Terry Jones and the 32 of Justin Marks, who is with a great team this year, going to run the full schedule Wintron Racing.
How about Bobby Gerhart?
Bobby Gerhart. That was a while ago. Yeah. That was a while ago. I don't know that Bobby's in his pit window.
Okay.
Looks like that 6 car won't crank. They're going to have to give him a shove.
Yeah. And the ARC officials will not penalize him because of that, because they do not blame him because of a red flag, his car not restarting. So they will push him and he will be able to get back into his rightful position.
Yeah, they just need to push him gently.
And he was 5th. He scored 5th right now when the red flag came out, so that will be the position that he will get back. Now, I'm assuming that they would keep pit road closed until he got into that position, because that would be an advantage on the rest of the field.
Looks like the pace car is really running slow, probably trying to give him enough time to get going, I would guess.
So they're working on getting Nelson Piquet Jr. refired on the backstretch.
And that's the thing. Does Nelson Piquet Jr. know that he can reclaim his position? That's another one of those things where the inexperience of doing this kind of racing. But I'm sure Eddie Sharp's guys will tell him, "Hey, you're able to drive right back up to where you were once they get that car refired." But Daryl, it looks like did it just not refire, or has it even refired yet?
It looks like he's having a real problem here.
Again, Nelson Piquet Jr. in that 6, struggling to get the car running.
I don't think it's running yet. Of course, the pits aren't open this time by, so.
Yeah, they're going to leave the pit road closed right now, and that may be because of this situation with Nelson Piquet Jr. But
I'm just not sure why the car hadn't fired. It's got to be something more terminal than it just wouldn't. The starter wasn't working, or maybe the battery's dead.
In this situation, we always hear, well, the kill button on the steering wheel, could that be bad, or
Boy, that
would you have used that, or?
So many times drivers hit those things and don't realize it. I think there are systems that there's a light involved now that if you've hit that button, I think it has a light that tells you have, but not all systems are that way. I've seen a number of times a driver hit that while he's sitting there not doing anything, not paying any attention, and then the car won't start. And being a rookie in these cars, You may just not know.
But that's where it's a crew chief job to say, okay, hit the kill switch again, just in case you bumped it the first time.
Right.
During this red flag condition, we listened in between crew chief and driver of the 17.
How am I going to know what my pit speed limit is?
Nice and easy here. Nice and easy. You'll want to stop here on your right. Clear him.
Okay.
So pit road will be open this time.
Nelson Piquet finally got his car refired. Now he's about a half a lap behind.
I guarantee you he hit that button. And he had to take him all the way around here for them to explain to him what he needed to do. Because once he got on pit road, the car fired and he took off.
We're expecting to see the hard left turn out of most of the field. And Jim Tredo, I believe you've got a few cars coming your direction you'd like to talk about.
Well, we heard from Kevin Reed, the crew chief on the 25 of Mikey Kyle. He's running third. The car that's running second is Joey Coulter in the 16. They decided if James Busher comes, they're going to come, but they looked at the clock, they looked at the lap count. They're coming too. They're pitted next to each other with an opening in between. Joey Coulter is now coming down pit road. He's 10 spots away. James Busher leads the field down. Here comes that Ripon Energy Fuel Chevrolet of the 16 car of Joey Coulter. Ahead of him goes Mikey Kyle. A 4-tire change. What Harold Howley told me was they have built some adjustability in this race car. They're doing just tire pressure adjustments here as Joey Coulter in the 16 gets 4 fresh Hoosier radials. Two right sides. Let's go down to Wendy.
And Danica Patrick is already out of her pit stall. It was a little bit of confusion. She did come in very clean. She has damage on the left rear quarter panel of her race car. It was fuel only for the 7 crew, but Tony Uri Jr. did a fantastic job of slowly bringing her into her pit, and there was a lot going on because her pit road speed was hard to monitor. Her gauges with her RPMs are not correct, and she feels like it's idling awfully high, so there is some concern of watching that and getting through all of this. After a red flag, a driver has to go through a lot of this process, and you know it's something to learn when it's your first stock car race.
Great job, great pit work by Tony Uri's guys. It looks like she was second off pit road, but we had a few cars stay out. Bobby Gerhardt being one of those, Mark Thompson, Allie Owens, Justin Marks, the 32. So we've got some good cars stayed out. Little pit strategy. All those cars had previously pitted. They feel like they probably have enough fuel to get to the end. So now they're going to be up front.
Wendy, did they change tires on the 7 or they just fuel it?
No tires. It was fuel only. Fuel only. Tony Uri is saying you've only run 6 green flag laps, 8 green flag laps. So they were concerned that the tires still weren't good enough. Now they are talking right now about saving fuel for Danica at the end of the race, and Tony says it's not enough. We have a few more laps as a cushion, but right now no tires for the 7 car at this time. Fuel only. And she did ask as she got back on in the race car, did you fuel it up? Yeah. Yes, they did.
Are they worried about that ding in the left rear quarter panel?
I'd call that a parachute.
Yeah, that's pretty considerable.
It's pretty big.
And you know, I didn't realize the damage she had until she got right into the pit stall in front of us, and I'm not sure the team did either, because Tony Uri Jr., as soon as she came to a stop, got a little bit frantic on the radio saying fix the rear quarter panel. So now that we're watching that, we are going to keep an eye on it, but there's no plan of bringing her back down pit road at this point. That was their one chance of straightening out that left rear quarter panel.
I'm wondering when that happened.
It happened in the down here when the 22 had the flat tire. She got straight as she went by. I forget who it was, but somebody got into the left rear of her car.
Aaron's lucky dog goes to Nick Igdalski. He will get a lap back in that number 1 car. So Nick will be back on the lead lap.
I think we may be in a situation now where we're not going to see the single file racing anymore, because we have James Busher, who obviously has a fast car right now, running 5th. Some of the cars in front of him, he's not seen this entire race. So I think now we may see some guys and girls going for the lead, maybe.
Well, you know, I think the 5 car certainly is somebody that could run with the 51. Bobby Gerhardt in the 5. But I tell you, that 51 car of Busher's, he's going to be in a hurry to get to the front, because he knows this race, it's getting dark.
Jim Trado.
Real quick, guys, Mikey Kyle came in this race in the top 3 on pit road. They changed 4 tires. They hung up the left front. He went out 25th. So the car that was fast all by itself, or with 1 car ahead of him, will have nearly half the field to collect, and hopefully teammates will help him get back to the front for Venturini Motorsports. A horrible stop puts him well back in the field.
Top 4 did not come onto pit road. That's Bobby Gerhart, Mark Thompson, Allie Owens, and Justin Marks. All 4 very good race cars.
And 2 of those from the same team, Venturini Motorsports, Mark Thompson and Allie Owens.
Now you've got James Busher back there in 5th. Danica Patrick in 6th, just behind James Busher. So we'll see if James does get a little impatient, wants to go up there for the lead. Maybe Danica will follow.
Most of the trouble we've had so far have been sort of middle of the pack on back. If we're going to have trouble now, I got to believe it's going to come from the front of the field now, because like you said, these guys are going to get a little bit racy here.
Coming into the tri-oval, Bobby Gerhart leading the field, 5-time winner of this race. Green flag back in the air. Great restart for Bobby Gerhart. Again, just behind him, Mark Thompson, Allie Owens, and Justin Marks.
Now we're going to get side by side. Justin Marks goes to the outside. That's the 32 car of Allie Owens. James Busher's going to follow Justin Marks on the outside.
What will Danica do now? Will she stay down on the bottom of the racetrack, or will she go with that moving line up high?
I think she needs to stay with that 51, DW.
Well, I think she needs to stay on that yellow line, because that was her game plan. I think she ought to stick to it.
And right there you see the 32 getting shuffled back. That's Justin Marks in the 32 trying to make the move, not able to get the momentum up, but now he's going to have some help with Ricky Carmichael behind him.
Some other cars going to pull into the help as well. Bobby Gerhart leads that line right around the yellow line.
Allie Owens running 3rd in this race. Mark Thompson 2nd. Bobby Gerhart leading the field on the bottom of the racetrack.
Our pole sitter and early leader James Busher right now runs 4th behind Allie Owens.
Danica Patrick all the way up to 5th now. That's the highest she's run. Justin Marks drops back to 6th. Joey Coulter, Ricky Carmichael, John Wes Townley, and Steve Arpin, your top 10.
Riding along for a moment with Frank Kimmel and Menards on board.
Here's going to be the temptation for Danica as she goes down the back.
She's on the outside now as she gets behind the 51.
That was what I was going to say. She was going to come up off that bottom, try to go with that 51. I hope that works out for her.
Joey Coulter's looked like he was going to close that hole on the bottom.
It looks as though they are moving on that high line. The 51 and the 7.
The first time I've seen Danica off of the yellow line in 2 days.
She's going to stay to the back bumper of the 51. Here comes the 51 of James Busher making the move on the lower line.
There's Joey Coulter right now running 6th. Allie Owens right in front of him in the 15 car.
So far, so good. I like what she's doing, and obviously the 51 is a guy that we think can get himself back to the lead if she can stay with him.
2 lines now making their way around this 2.5-mile super speedway.
But don't forget about that cat leading this race either. He's pretty shrewd here at Daytona. He and his brother, they know how to win this race.
Billy Gerhart, the crew chief. Bobby Gerhart, the guy behind the wheel.
Pretty good little race we got going now, guys.
Mark Thompson doing a great job staying right with Bobby Gerhart. Busher is inching up a little bit.
Trying to get that outside line to move. James Busher in front of the outside line. Then it's Danica Patrick. Just behind Danica is Justin Marks in the 32.
Danica's losing contact with that 51 as he kind of makes a little headway up that outside. She needs to stay right with him. That'll help him and her both. She's actually hurting the 51 right now when she can't stay with him like that, falling back.
See how they do coming through 3 and 4.
Car looks just a little loose to me. It's moving around a little bit more than what we've seen. Of course, it's going faster than I think it's probably gone all day too.
She mentioned when she tested she wanted to do a little butt drafting, but wasn't quite able to get up as close to the car in front of her as she wanted to, so she really didn't do any bump drafting. They're actually losing some ground now.
Yeah, well, she's actually hurting the 51. When you're just that 3 or 4 car lengths back off of the back bumper of the car in front of you, you're slowing him down. And you can see he's losing a little ground to those lead cars.
Gerhart making the move by one of the slower cars on the racetrack. Now, moments ago, the 4 of Ricky Carmichael had a great save as he had to race up the racetrack. Take a look on the bottom of your screen.
Ryan Salas, the 11 underneath him. That's Steve Arpin in the 55 right behind him.
Contact.
Gee, It's just it's so uncalled for to do for the 55 to do that, and that could have caused a huge wreck. You just they don't understand pump drafting and when you can and when you can't.
3 wide through the tri-oval at Daytona. That's what we've been waiting for all winter long, to see 2 and 3 wide, and it's happening here tonight.
Tell you one thing right now, Danica didn't like that outside. She said, let me get back down here on the bottom where I'm more comfortable.
She's behind John West Townley.
Frank Kimmel right there, the Menards on board behind Steve Arpin in the 55.
The temptation with where she is you get a big run, and what do you do with it? You can't, you know, I don't think she's comfortable bump drafting someone, but she doesn't want to jump back to the outside either.
Wendy.
The 15 of Allie Owens running third right now. She had pitted much earlier in the race. Of course, she had belt issues earlier on, and then she came in at lap 23 and got tires. Allie Owens feels really confident about her race car. She told me before the race that her car is a pusher, which meant if she could get to the front after qualifying 19th, she knew that she would be able to stay up there in that draft, and Allie Owens is proving why she deserves to be up front right now.
Allie Owens out of Daytona Beach, Florida, kind of living the dream right now of a race car driver. Growing up watching stock cars go around this 2.5 mile super speedway, and then getting the opportunity to get behind the wheel.
Been some great drivers come out of Daytona Beach. Marvin Panch, Fireball, all from Daytona Beach. Ooh, Mark Thompson got a little loose there, trying to get back down to the yellow line.
Yeah, you just
there's some bump drafting right there.
You just can't cut the thing to the bottom just like that and not expect it to move around a little bit with you.
We saw Danica get into the back of John West Townley.
Yeah, Danica, she wants to bump John West. She's been right up there, but I think she's a little concerned about where to do it. I think she doesn't have the experience, and she knows it would help both of them, but she's afraid to do it, I think.
Bobby Gerhardt last pitted DW on lap number 15. So if this race goes the distance, that's 65 laps. Now, there are a lot of those laps were under caution that he will have to run. Allie Owens, Mark Thompson both pitted on lap number 23. So they have about 8 more laps of fuel than does Bobby Gerhardt.
DW, let me ask you, right now we've been seeing John West Townley move around quite a bit in front of Danica. Does that get you up on your nerves a bit?
Well, I think it confuses Danica, because she doesn't know what he wants her to do. Do you want me to go with you? Do you want me to push you? Do you want me to stay here? I think that's one of those things, learning things she's going through right now, but she's doing the right thing. Hold your line, stay where you are, and let it come to you. Now, see, she's starting to drift up the hill here. She feels like she can make a pass, but that gets you in trouble.
She has Patrick Shelter right behind her.
Single file to 60.
Patrick pulled in behind her.
You get such a run because of the draft that you feel like, man, I can go by all these guys.
Being patient.
We saw it with James Busher too, because he thought he had the fastest car. He led the early part of the race. He jumped to the outside, had some help, wasn't real tight behind him, and he wasn't able to go anywhere.
No, you can't. You got to stay down there on that bottom, protect the bottom, and let it come. Let somebody else move up, and you'll go by them.
Those bumps coming through turn number 4 really get the cars moving up out of that bottom groove. This single file line again.
For her, it takes a lot of discipline, which she is very disciplined, to stay right where she is.
We'll be right back with more green flag racing from Daytona. And welcome back to the Lucas Oil Slick Mist 200. We're under caution for the 4th time tonight. This time, 9-time series champion Frank Kimmel is caught up in the accident.
Yeah, I think Frank was a victim in that incident. Let's see if we can take a look back at what happened.
I think it's a chain reaction, Phil. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, this is really this is a separate incident. This is coming off turn 2 on the backstretch
over there.
Nick Adalski, but when they get over to turn number 3, then they're going to have the incident that Frank was involved in. Watch to your right of your screen.
Oh yeah, he got hit from behind.
Yeah, the 83 car, it looked like Sean Core may have got a little bit loose, got down to the apron. Frank may have eased off the throttle, got run into him from behind, then there was a chain reaction.
Checked up and got run over by the 25.
Not a tremendous amount of damage to those cars, but yet some damage.
I think the 25's okay, but the 44's got the most damage.
That's Frank. That's when he gets a shot. That's Nelson Piquet Jr., the 6 right behind him.
In pits, or in Frank Kimmel's pits, is Jim Trado. Jim?
As they came down pit road here, not a whole lot of chatter on the radio. They know what they have to do. They looked at the replay on the big screen. What we saw is what they saw. And backing in the wall was Kimmel. but not enough to offset the rear spoiler. The rear bumper cover, if anything, has been damaged. They're changing right side tires because of that slide. They're only allowed 2 sets of tires in the pits, and the 4 they started the race on. So lucky for them, they had a spare set. They went with scuffs last time and scuffs this time for Frank Kimmel, trying to repair that minimal right side right front damage, and the bumper in the rear looks okay.
Frank Kimmel was running 13th, and Mikey Kyle was running 16th at the time of this caution.
Brad Smith, the 26 car, will be our Aaron's lucky dog.
Frank saying make sure to check the front fenders.
I think Frank obviously can continue on, but they've got a lot more.
Next time in then.
Yeah, he got a lot more damage. He's going to have to come back and work on it some more. We're only seeing the good side here, the right side.
Yeah, the right side's got a lot of damage.
Around the rear back there, and I think it's still got a tire rub on the front where it gets up to speed.
Look at the front balance too there. That's very critical. That's very critical, and it's rolled under.
They got a lot of work they need to do if he's going to be anywhere near competitive, which I don't think he will be.
Reminiscent of 2009 when Frank Kimmel gets involved in an incident. We'll be back. Welcome back. ARCA Racing Series kicking off the 2010 season, our 4th caution. But it's Bobby Gerhart who is back out in front of the field at Daytona, and I think we can talk with him.
Let's do it. Hey, Bobby Gerhart, Phil Parsons up in the speed booth. You have a copy? Bobby, we have you on our records pitting on lap number 15. That leaves you 65 laps to run to the end. Has Billy told you have enough fuel?
I don't even want to think about it. That was our plan from the beginning, Phil, and you know, we stuck by it. We didn't think we had a fast enough car to win the pole. So you got to do what you got to do in this deal, and this was our. It came to us, and let's just see what happens.
Bobby, you know how to win these things. You won 5 of them. You're back up front where you belong. Can you pull it off?
Well, the car certainly seems to be a little bit better out front than behind just about any other car. I don't know what's up with that, but I'm going to do everything I can to keep this Lucas Oil Chevrolet up front. And, hopefully, with all these quality lubricants we got under the hood here, Phil, we're going to get there.
All right, Bobby. Thanks for talking to us, buddy. Have a good one.
Wendy Venerini.
Thanks, Rick. I'm with Billy Gerhart, brother to Bobby, and of course, this was a strategy coming into the race. Billy, you're not at all concerned about having enough fuel. You guys are good.
Well, we're cutting it close for sure, but you know, Bobby's doing it. We've worked on this a little bit here in December, saving some fuel. We're doing a couple tricks here and tested some things in December and said, you know what, we can go 65 plus laps. So we decided to give it a shot. I was concerned early. The car didn't seem to really draft real well, and I said, you know, guys, let's stick with our plan and see what happens, and darned if we didn't get back up front, and you know what? It looks pretty good out front.
What's your superstition with the decals?
Well, the guys are teasing me here tonight. I told them I'm coming back here like we did in 07. Every decal exactly the same, except I changed the door numbers to a reflective 5. And they've been teasing me all night that they see the reflective 5, but Lucas Oil Chevy looks good out front, Wendy.
All right, good luck to Billy and Bobby Gerhart.
Nobody can tease Bobby Gerhart as far as how he runs at super speedways. He's one of the best.
You just think about it. Sometimes guys just got a knack for winning a track. Think about Richard Petty winning this race, or the Daytona 500 7 times. And there, Bobby, it just seems like it comes to you when it's your hot. It's like your house.
Green flag back in the air. Bobby Gerhart, Mark Thompson, Allie Owens, Joey Coulter, John West Townley, your top 5.
We're going to get racy. We got to get going here, guys.
Bobby may have a little bit too big a lead right now. You don't want that big gap where they get a run on you when they get to you, DW.
Yeah, that's a little bit further out there than he needs to be, and here they come, and they're going to blow right by him, I'm afraid, if they elect to. But I think everybody's thinking like we are. This guy knows how to win this race. Maybe I need to hang with him.
Mark Thompson decides to stay behind him. Allie Owens stays in line as well. 16 of Joey Coulter, John West Townley, Danica Patrick, Patrick Sheltra, all staying in line down toward the bottom of the racetrack.
Once they get up to full speed now, Bobby's in a good position. He's really most vulnerable on those restarts, especially if he gets a big gap and they want to gang up on him.
Yeah, I think right now that everybody's just going to kind of hold their position. It's the hardest thing to do because with the draft, you just feel like every time you go in a corner, I can pass these guys. And you jump out there and find out you're out there in no man's land all by yourself.
Not only the bumps, but the buffeting of the air around these race cars make it a bumpy ride here at Daytona.
Well, the sun's not a problem anymore, DW.
No, it's not. Nice little lights are coming up. Things are starting to look good.
Side by side back for about the 10th and 11th position. Ricky Carmichael on the inside, Sean Corr on the outside.
I'm just not real sure why that 7 car won't stay tucked up. It seems like she loses a little bit of ground to the car in front of her.
There's Sean Corr, that yellow and black car, number 83.
And that's the race car we saw just in front of Frank Kimmel earlier when Kimmel had his problems. He went all the way to the apron and was able to keep it running and keep it going in the right direction, and he's already into the 10th spot.
Bobby Gerhardt's up off that bottom a little bit, not quite leaving enough room for anyone to stick their nose in, but
I think right now he's convinced everybody's going to follow me.
And we've seen this before from Bobby Gerhardt. It's his strategy. He'll come up the racetrack just enough to block anybody from trying to go high, but not high enough for anybody to pass him on the left.
Could be just missing the bumps a little bit because it's pretty bumpy when you get right down on that bottom. So he might be going around a couple of bumps that upsets his car.
Mark Thompson still tucking in behind. Allie Owens is running third.
They're protecting that left side. I'll say that.
They're turning hard left to get back to the yellow line.
Boy, I tell you right now, Sheltra is wearing Danica's back bumper out.
Remember, Patrick had that horrible incident late in the race coming off turn number 4, actually broke his back. Ooh, he slides up the racetrack.
Danica up the racetrack.
Danica does.
What happened was Sheltra's been pushing on her, and I think he just finally pushed her up out of the way.
And now she gets shuffled out. We'll see if she finds a spot to jump back down.
Oh, yeah, she'll find one. Just wait a second. Yeah. Right behind that 4 car.
And it's so frustrating. You're telling your spotter, let me know when I can get down. Let me know when I can get down. He says, 1 more, 2 more, 3 more.
Still got 2 more down here. Still got 2 more in line.
Sheltra was pretty smart, though. He saw that she was pretty vulnerable. He gave her a little shot getting into 1 down there and it put her up the hill, and he went right by her.
30 laps remaining from Daytona International Speedway. Bobby Gerhardt in front of the field once again. 5 times he's hoisted the trophy at the end of this race. Can he make it 6?
Yeah, you said the 5 car, Gerhardt is missing the bumps. That's why he goes up just a little wee bit. Watch some of the other cars. Now that the lights are coming on, you'll see sparks coming out from the other cars. He doesn't do that. He's just avoiding the bumps, which is actually making his car go faster.
You know, Danica's here to learn, DW. She's here to get experience. That may be good for her experience. Now she's going to get behind the cars. She's going to have to try to make some moves as we see Patrick Sheltra lose a spot to James Busher. Now she's going to have to pass some people and make some moves to get back up towards the front.
Sheltra's car is loose. Remember earlier in the day when we saw him all sideways down here in the middle of 3 and 4? That car is a little bit free.
This is why Danica moved up the racetrack earlier. She had Patrick Sheltra just behind her. Through those bumps.
She wiggled. She got a little bit loose and wiggled and had to chase the car up the hill. That's what happened.
Well, I think that Sheltra created that.
Yeah, he helped her get loose.
Well, he kept tapping on her, and I think she may have looked back to see where he was, and it caused her to lose a little concentration there and went up the hill a little bit.
So she moved out of that bottom line, and that's made her drop all the way back to 11th. Jim Trado.
Hey guys, when it came to Daytona and Mark Thompson, who loves this racetrack, they went deep in the Venturini talent pool and got a veteran crew chief to help Mark here by the name of Rambo. Tony Liberati's on the pit box for the 66 of Mark Thompson. There's a bit of trust built in here. Rambo's been one of the first crew chiefs for Jimmy Johnson in his transition to NASCAR, and the trust is behind the wheel. When Bobby Gerhardt got hurt in 2007 in a crash, the driver he put behind the wheel at his car at Talladega was Mark Thompson. I imagine these 2 veterans will be working together to the finish.
Rambo, a lot of experience in stock car racing at all levels. Bobby Gerhardt looking to make it 6 wins from Daytona. Can anyone challenge him? Stay with us. Welcome back to the Lucas Oil Slick Mist 200. We are under our 5th caution, and this time, well, the spotlight has been on her all evening. And this time it is the 7 of Danica Patrick that brings out our 5th caution. We're going to show you just what happened.
Watch this now. That's Tommy Joe Martin's right behind. Tommy Joe Martin's. Danica moves to the inside. Nelson Piquet gets a little bit loose. She's on the inside against the white line, and Nelson Piquet Jr. forces her down off the racetrack. And look at this ride through the grass she has.
I'll tell you, this This right here is car control. Now that's something that you got it or you don't. And that's impressive right there to get that car that far out of shape, hang on to it, not hit the wall. Tony Jr. helped her a lot because he kind of helped her get through that, but that was amazing. That was a great job right there.
She's going to come right at us here.
Yeah, Piquet's going to force her down underneath pretty good contact right there. She goes right through the grass. The thing I like, DW, is she's this sideways, and when she gets straight, her wheels are straight. She doesn't overcorrect and go into the outside wall.
Well, that's what I was telling you earlier. Lock it down, turn left.
She's on pit road now. Wendy Venerini.
4 tires, fuel, 3 rounds down on the track bar. Some major adjustments for Danica Patrick. She wasn't happy with the race car right before that, so this is giving them a great advantage to get fresh tires, make the adjustments. She was sliding around the nose and was a little bit loose on that race car. Now she does have a little bit of slight damage. They're going to work on that with the hammer. Of course, she has some left rear quarter panel damage from earlier in the race, but what a fantastic job by everyone on this crew. The spotter, TJ Majors, the crew chief, Tony Uri Jr., everyone walking her step by step, get on the gas, get off the gas, exactly what to do through that wreck, getting through the grass, and now coming down pit road. The crew is going to continue to work to get every little piece of tape exactly how they want it and get the fenders exactly how they feel they should be under this caution, because we know there's not many cars left out on that racetrack. So when we go back green, Danica has a very good chance of getting back to the front of that draft.
So a little bit of damage to the right front, and that's because when Nelson Piquet Jr. came down, didn't know she was there, came down and forced her down into the grass.
Yeah, she was on the inside of a 3-wide situation there, and Nelson Piquet Jr. didn't realize, I don't think, that she was down below him, and he forced her down off the racetrack.
Did you hear the roar? The roar of the crowd here at Daytona. She has some followers here at this racetrack. She comes back off of pit road and the crowd roars.
Well, that was a great job. I just got to tell you, to hang onto a car in the grass, bring it back out up on the racetrack, and not spin that thing around and back it up in the fence. She did a great job. I love Tony Jr. He was talking her, clutch it, brake it, gas it. And you know what? A lot of times I'd say the driver wasn't paying any attention. She was paying attention.
Take a look at her hands here. This is when it happens.
Right now she's just riding along straight, then she gets hit.
She's got some quick hands. Look at that, IndyCar style. Let go of that steering wheel. Look at her.
And the car almost righted itself. But the thing I like, when it did straighten out, she didn't have the wheels cut all the way to the right where she was going to go back up on the racetrack.
You know what, it was just really quick hands, and how she was letting go of the steering wheel almost to let the car straighten itself out.
Got another right front there, Sherm?
Yeah, this right front, they got to come back in. She hit that PK's car pretty hard. They've got a good bit of damage here they need to work on.
Watch your lights here. Do whatever you got to do to get it straight. Keep me posted where it's at.
Wendy.
Danica Patrick does have to come back down pit road. There was a right front fender rub going on, so Tony Uri was not happy with what he saw. She comes down, and they are going to clear that fender a little bit more, get some more fuel in it, and keep in mind her spotter. They have a couple spotters here at Daytona. The front stretch spotters, Chip Ross, the back stretch spotters, TJ Majors, and of course they have Kelly Byers also on the back stretch giving advice throughout the day. So Danica Patrick has done everything she needed to do up to this point. The only problem was that fender damage, and it looks all clear. Tony Uri gives her the go.
You know, one thing about her right now, she's mad. She's mad she got taken out.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
She might be mad, but she's probably pretty happy too.
She's going to want to get up to speed as quickly as she can, because they're going to be coming out of turn number 4 and the field will be getting the green. She will be wide open going down the backstretch.
Yeah, I still don't think they got that right front fender right where it needs to be, and that's a critical part of the aero package on these cars.
So the pace car makes the left turn onto pit road, and that puts the field back in the hands of Bobby Gerhart. Mark Thompson just behind him. Allie Owens, Joey Coulter, John West Townley are top 5. Green flag back in the air.
Well, Gerhart can get, he got a great jump on these restarts. And now he's going to have a lap car in between he and Thompson, so.
That's Mikey Kyle in the 25 car. Remember, Mikey Kyle is a teammate to Mark Thompson and Allie Owens in one of the 5 Inter Indy cars.
Looking to the outside. Allie Owens running in that 3rd spot.
There's Joey Coulter right here, the Rippet car running in the 4th spot.
25 needs to ease out of the way, ease out of it and let these guys get by now.
That's Mikey Kyle. Here looks like a run for Mark Thompson.
I wouldn't do that. You're going to get freight trained.
Thompson looked to the outside, but again, Gerhardt using all the racetrack. He moves all the way up the racetrack to stay in front of that 66.
Allie Owens has got, Thompson's leaving a door open for Allie. She's going to stick her nose in there, and he's going to try to come down. That's going to be our next caution.
We're getting close to the end here. We have 23 laps to go, and you know, all this playing nice is going to go out the window here in a little bit.
Jim Trado. Oh.
Hey guys, Mark Thompson under caution was talking to his crew chief. He said, I'm better than him through the tri-oval, but I can't get lower than he does. He's sucking on the yellow line. His crew chief, Tony Labrati, said, do what you need to do. I don't care where you pass him. You know where his weaknesses are. You've got the race car. It's in your hands now. But Mark Thompson closing in on the 5 of Bobby Gerhardt, thinks he's better through the tri-oval, and that's right where the finish line is.
Well, you know, we've talked about Danica most of the race. You got to give a tip of the hat to Allie Owens, too. Here she sits running third, very patiently sitting there. And if Mark Thompson's not careful, she's going to be right by him.
We talked about Allie on one of our NASCAR live show and said that we may have a female win here at Daytona, and it might not be Danica. It may be Allie Owens. She's in a great position right now.
She really is.
Joey Coulter tucked in behind her. Then it's John West Townley behind Joey Coulter. James Buescher, your pole sitter and early leader of this race, is back to the 6th spot. Justin Marks 7th. Patrick Sheltra 8th, Ricky Carmichael is 9th, and Steve Arpin rounding out our top 10.
That 51 car really surprised me, Phil. I thought he would drive to the outside and go right by these guys and get
problems.
No.
Over and over, it's the 06 of Barry Fitzgerald, and he comes to a stop.
He's already taken the window net down.
Yeah, that was coming out of turn number 2, I believe.
Yeah, it is. You see him moving around in there. That's a good sign. It looks like he's trying to get unbuckled.
Safety crews to him quickly.
Why are these cars turning over today? Every time you look around, there's a car turning over.
And this one was sideways until it got into the grass, and then around it went.
Watch top of your screen. The green and black car, that's Barry Fitzgerald. It gets a little bit loose, slides off the racetrack, and just turns around backwards the wrong way.
These cars are the way they're set up. When they go on the left side like that, it's just almost they turn over. It's the way the cars are set up.
A violent ride for Barry Fitzgerald in that 06.
There's another view coming off turn 2. You know, and he wasn't in the grass. He was already flipping before he got to the grass right there. So it wasn't a situation for the unevenness of the grass.
No, but when it hit the grass, it did a whole lot more bucking around. I can tell you, the grass is rough, man.
5 times that car did a tumble. Again, if you're just joining us for NASCAR race day at the bottom of the hour, that will be coming up next. We have 21 laps to go in this one. The safety crew is attending to Barry Fitzgerald. We'll be back with more from Daytona after this. Welcome back. Barry Fitzgerald, again, the reason for our 6th caution of the night in the Lucas Oil Slick Mist 200. He had a wild ride coming off of turn number 2. Take a look.
Right of your screen, Barry's going to come into the picture of that black and green car. Just got a little bit loose, and then he just drove it almost off the racetrack towards the apron, and then tried to turn back to the right.
When I say that it's a setup, Phil, it's because the left side springs are soft, and when the car lays over on the right side springs, then the car just has nothing to do but flip over. There's no give there.
Real time.
Plus, if you run a chain on a sway bar, which is real technical, you don't want to go there, but that'll even help. That'll even make it do that. Or not make it, but will be a part of it.
Barry Fitzgerald climbed out of that race car and walked to the ambulance, so that is a great sign. Bobby Gerhardt still out in front. Mark Thompson running 2nd. Allie Owens, the Daytona Beach native, running in the 3rd spot. Joey Coulter and John West Townley are your top 5. Stay with us. Up next, an American tradition is renewed as Speed Weeks continues in Daytona. The season starts here from the first practice to victory lane. Hershey's Milk and Milkshake Speed Weeks at Daytona. Coverage on Speed continues next. And again, following us here on Speed is NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. J.R. Kinney, Kyle Petty, Hermie and Rutledge, as well as our own Wendy Venerini. Wendy.
Allie Owens came into the test session at Daytona. There was 10 female drivers. We got to the race. 6 females were in this race, and now we are talking about Allie Owens running third with just a few laps to go. Her crew chief, Cal Beaupre, down here on pit road. Now, Cal, what are you talking about with Allie Owens right now? She seems very calm in the race car.
We're just trying to figure out what our strategy is going to be. We're racing the clock here as much as we're racing the laps, so don't want to get off the bottom and give anything up from behind, but we don't want to wait too much longer either to get around the guys out front. She's having to lift quite a bit to stay behind them. It's going to come down to who makes a mistake out there, I think. But electrifyingcareers.com Chevy's running real good, and she's doing a great job for us.
Okay, thanks to Cal. Her spotter up there, Mike Herman Jr., is giving a lot of advice to Allie Owens, a Daytona Beach native. She would love to get a victory.
Stay on the bottom. That's the best advice I can give you.
Green flag back in the air. We're back underway. 17 laps of racing to go from Daytona.
That was what I was saying about it takes discipline. You feel like when you're back where she is, you've got 100 more horsepower than the guy in front of you. But if you jump out of line, let him jump out of line and then close the door and move up a spot.
Mark Thompson running second. His best finish is 6th at Talladega back in 2003.
See, the 66 wants to go out. She ought to let him go on out there.
Joey Coulter jumps to the outside.
You got to just hold your breath. You got to stay right there. He can't go anywhere.
Patrick Shelter also on the outside, but he's 6 car lengths behind Joey Coulter, so can't really help him yet.
See how it slowed Allie down, though, because of running side by side. Look how much ground she's losing to Mark Thompson in the 66.
But look at John West. He gets up there behind Allie. He'll push her right back, and car on the outside is going to be, he's going to go backwards. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of discipline. Stay on that yellow line.
Remember Joey Coulter's crew chief, Harold Hawley, talking about how Joey didn't really understand the side drafting. He's doing a lot of side drafting right now to try to keep Allie Owens from getting by him.
See the pack out in front. Only 3 cars out of line, now 4 out of line. Jim.
Real quick, guys, the radio chatter on Mark Thompson's radio said, be careful out the 5. The 5 may be light on fuel, so stay on your toes.
Boy, I tell you, when it's outside of the 15 like that, that makes you get mighty loose when somebody's on your outside like that. But she needs to try to get shoved back up here to the back of the Thompson car.
The Shelter now has moved up. He's only a couple car lengths behind Joey Coulter on the outside.
Looks like Allie Owens was almost thinking about making the move by Mark Thompson. Had a little bit of a run. She's going to catch up to the back of that 66 now.
But see what happened? She's got to race this guy. He's out there riding. He's side drafting her. But if she'll just stay down there, she'll get back up behind the 66.
She has done that. She's caught back up to the 66.
And Coulter, he's going to go backwards, and now he's going to lose a spot to John West.
There's James Busher right behind John West. Remember, our pole sitter, early leader.
Patrick Shelter with a strong car in that number 60. He was able to catch up to Joey Coulter on that outside line.
Joey Coulter trying to side draft on John West Townley. 3 wide right now.
Patrick Shelter with a run to the high side of the racetrack, trying to take the position away and move into 4th.
Been a little worried about that 60 car Shelter. It's pretty loose. Seen it sideways a number of times.
Comes down the racetrack.
Joey Coulter was really heads up right there to avoid that incident.
Allie, where you going? Well, they said there's a lap car up here. They're moving up to get by it.
I think that's the 6 car, Nelson Piquet Jr.
Well, she needs to get back down there in a hurry.
2 and 3 wide once again.
James
Busher in that 51. They're getting a little crazy now. Here we go. A wild ride coming up as they go through the grass. That's Joey Coulter we're riding along with.
Off the brake, let it roll. There you go.
No caution. We stay green.
Green flag stays out. Joey Coulter comes back on the racetrack.
Guys got this grass figured out, man.
How about the number 7 coming up here?
Danica's moved up into the 12th position, just about up to that lead draft.
Well, you heard Tony Jr. tell her, say it's time to go.
Yeah, we were eavesdropping during the caution flag and during our commercial break, and Tony Jr. said, hey, you've got about 18 laps to go. Let her rip.
Do what you got to do.
13 remaining. It'll be 12 when they cross the stripe this time. Terry Jones just in front of Danica Patrick in that number 30.
Her Danica had to pedal the throttle a little bit there.
Tell you who's slipping back in the picture here is the 051 car.
James Busher.
He's coming right back here. And we know he's bad fast.
We have seen him run extremely well at this racetrack. Last year's winner and the pole sitter for this race.
Now, if Busher could get up there, you know what? And I'm Allie Owens. I might take a chance and go with him, especially if they can get a little distance between them and the cars behind them.
Allie's losing a little bit of that ground she had on the 66 earlier. Patrick Sheltra had a run on the outside, made a few moves, was able to get up to the fifth spot.
Whoa, that's not good.
Yeah, I don't think she intended to go up there.
No, that thing took off with her, man. She's lucky to get back down.
11 laps remaining.
Got to sit on that hot stove right now and sweat a little ice water.
Tell you what, guys, that 7 is coming. The GoDaddy.com number 7 of Danica Patrick is catching up to this lead pack.
She has a little momentum right now. If she has someplace to go when she gets there, she may be able to pass some cars.
Staying to the high line now. She thinks she might be able to help out that line.
I just hope she didn't catch up at the wrong time. You can, you know, with a car fast like she has, the draft will pull you up there. But the way this racing's going in front of her, she's going to stall out right here behind a bunch of guys that are really moving around a lot on the racetrack. Seeing a lot of cars that are almost wrecking.
She's right behind Tommy Joe Martins in the 95 car.
The final 10 laps of the ARCA Racing Series first event of the 2010 season. Here comes the move. Patrick Sheltra makes the move. And it looks like the 51 of James Busher is going to go with him.
We're inside of 10 laps to go now. Time to move.
Whatever Busher does, I would be pretty happy about going with him.
Patrick Sheltra's looking strong too, guys.
Sheltra, we know he's got a fast car. But boy, these guys are taking a lot of liberties right now with each other. They're cutting off. They're cutting in front of each other, slamming the door.
Allie Owens hanging on to that third spot. Sheltra had a run. Now with no help behind him, he's losing ground.
Boy, Allie is in a vulnerable spot right there.
Up the racetrack she goes, and as she goes up, John West Townley takes the position. Allie Owens starts to drop back.
They shoved her up off the bottom, and she couldn't cut it. She couldn't get back down.
Danica went by as well.
Here comes Danica Patrick once again. We ride along with her as she goes by the 4 of Ricky Carmichael.
What a great recovery for Danica. Man, did she come from out of the grass almost into the wall, and here she is fighting to get back to the lead.
Racing for the 7th position right now, Rick.
In 7th spot right now, fighting for that spot with the 4 of Ricky Carmichael.
Woo. Thompson he's not advancing his position, so he can go down below that line, but I think he sees the heat coming from the rear right here.
This is the move by Danica. Look at her duck down below the 30 of Terry Jones.
What a great move.
That's when Allie Owens got caught in the middle there, and she actually slowed her momentum. Great job by Danica and her spotter.
A big gap now between Bobby Gerhardt and Mark Thompson. Those guys are going to start ganging up on our leader.
I think they're kind of setting. I think they're setting Gerhardt up. They're letting him get out there a little ways because they can get that good run on him. They might be able to get by him, but it's going to be tough. Oh boy knows what he's doing.
3 cars pulling away from the pack now. Patrick Sheltra has moved up into the 3rd position. Mark Thompson running 2nd. Bobby Gerhardt is your leader.
Okay, 72 laps into this race. Regardless of what happens from here on out, Danica has learned a lot, done a great job in this race.
I have been really impressed, and I don't think anybody can say that she can't drive a stock car. Because I've seen her drive it all over this place.
Through the grass.
Today.
Down on the bottom of the racetrack, currently running in the 7th spot.
That's Steve Arp in the 55 right in front of her. James Busher, the 51, the Phoenix Construction car on the outside.
Get out there with the 51 and push him. I believe if Danica and the 51 and Busher would get hooked up, they might be able to go to the front.
It looks like they're trying something. There might have been a little contact there from Danica.
Danica's she's getting a little racy now. She said, let me give you a little bump draft.
Now, when you said push, you didn't really literally mean push.
No, not like that.
Wendy.
Well, the 55 of Steve Arpin has worked his way back up to the front and, of course, has Danica Patrick on his outside right now. But Steve Arpin returns to Venturini Motorsports, and for the first time in history at Venturini Motorsports, Billy Venturini is crew chiefing the 55 car. He's always been on that 25 pit box, which was driven by Mikey Kyle tonight. But Steve Arpin has a new number with the 55 and a crew chief, and they've hooked together for the 2010 season. Steve Arpin trying to get his way back up there in the final few laps.
6 laps remain. They cross the stripe. Bobby Gerhart in front of Mark Thompson, Patrick Sheltra, John West Townley, James Busher, and Danica Patrick. They are your top 6.
That's as good as it gets at the front right there. That's about ARCA's finest.
You know, Patrick Sheltra would love to come back here after that hard crash last year. Little redemption.
Again, Patrick Sheltra running in the 3rd spot, and we see James Busher looking to the outside. Danica tucks in behind that 51, now back to the yellow line.
She made.
There you go. You take it. Nice and easy. Easy. If he gives it. There you go.
Got him.
How about that now?
I don't think he gave it. I'm pretty sure she took it.
No, he went up the hill, and she was there, buddy.
And now she's going to look to the outside of that 35 of John West Townley. Can she get back up into the top 5? Well, she's in the top 5 now. Can she improve her position?
5 to go.
The final 5 laps from Daytona. The very first stock car race for Danica Patrick, and she has put an exclamation point on her driving abilities tonight. Bobby Gerhart leading. He's won 5 times before, looking to make it 6. Mark Thompson running just behind him in the 2nd spot.
All Gerhart is watching is his fuel pressure gauge right now, because he's got the car. I don't think anybody can pass him if he doesn't run out of fuel.
And that's one thing Mark Thompson needs to be aware of. We heard that his crew chief warned him. There's Danica, moves to the outside of John West.
Trying to take away 4th from John West Townley.
Hold your line. Inside 51.
Oh, he's getting a little too racy here now. You better watch out.
Stays to the outside. Let's see if she'll get any help.
Maybe Sheltra will move up there in front of her, but doesn't look like he's going to do it yet.
Debris on the racetrack flying around up there. Here comes Danica on the high side. Let's see if Patrick Sheltra moves up there, gives her a little bit of drafting help.
She's going to pull down and side draft off James Busher. Side by side for 2nd.
Get on up there. Get with that 60 car.
Wiggle from the 66 of Mark Thompson.
That's going to break her momentum too.
She stays high, trying to go by the 60 of Patrick Sheltra. Now tucks in behind him. We'll see if they can work together and move the high line up.
And how about the GOAT, Ricky Carmichael? All of a sudden here he is in the mix.
Breaking into the top 5 is Ricky Carmichael. He runs side by side with Danica.
Oh, give him a little room here. Give him a little room.
The final 3 laps of racing.
Lap car in the way.
Ricky Carmichael big time sideways.
Right by.
That lap car almost made us almost caused a mess.
Bobby Gerhart has his eyes all over the rearview mirror, making sure no one gets a run on him.
This is a dance. This is like dancing with the wolves. These things are bouncing all over the place.
Who's your partner? Who do you want to have as your dancing partner at Daytona? Oh, smoke coming out of...
That's Terry Jones. Actually, the 1 car came off turn 2, bounced off the wall into Terry Jones.
That's Allie Owens gets sideways as well. We see Allie Owens. It looks like there might be some fluid on the racetrack. Allie Owens gets sideways.
No caution.
No caution yet. She's off the racetrack right now. If she can get it refired, I think we'll stay green.
2 laps of racing to go. They stay green. No caution flag has come out. The question is there fluid on the racetrack? We're going to find out very shortly.
These other cars are getting through here just fine. I think that was just maybe a reaction to the smoke.
The pack making its way down the backstretch and into turn number 3. Still chasing Bobby Gerhart.
White flag this time, boys. Yeah, the track's clean. I don't see any problem.
Bobby Gerhart.
We're going to have some lap cars. That might create a problem. We've got a couple of lap cars up here that are going to come into play. Frank Kimmel's one of them. Frank's smart guy. He'll get out of the way.
One to go. 1 lap remaining from Daytona International Speedway. The Lucas Oil Slick Mist 200 on its final 2.5 miles. Bobby Gerhart in command of this race. Mark Thompson running second.
Boy, that Gerhart car is strong, man. He comes up off of turn 2, gaps the guys behind him a little bit.
Frank Kimmel had problems earlier. He moves to the inside. He's a slower lap car.
They just can't close that. That 5 car came off of turn 2 that time. Man, he put some distance. There is a lap car. This could be a problem.
Bobby Gerhart and Bill Gerhart spend all their time working on super speedway practice and testing, and it is going to pay off. Bobby Gerhart coming into the Tri-Oval. He will win his 6th super speedway race from Daytona International Speedway.
And Danica finished 7th. Car 7 finished 7th.
Nice job by Danica, but what a great job. Win number 6 for Bobby Gerhart. Great pit strategy. They made it 65 laps on a tank of fuel.
And he said early in the race it wouldn't run. They came
Wouldn't run a lick.
had a beat on it, raised the hood and everything else.
Take a look at the finish.
Watch Danica.
The 4 and the 7.
Watch Danica and Ricky Carmichael bumping when they get down towards the start-finish line.
Danica's trying to go down. Ricky Carmichael's trying to hold his position.
Right now.
At the stripe, it looked like Danica snuck just in front of him.
No.
It was a close call. We know who took the checkers first. Bobby Gerhart wins again at Daytona. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Lucas Slick Mist, the fast and easy car care products. By Messina Wildlife Management. Stop animal damage with Messina Wildlife Management. And by Aaron's. Everyone's a lucky dog at Aaron's.
Bobby Gerhart's a lucky dog, isn't he?
He is.
I don't know
He's
if
a
I
hound
call it
dog.
luck after winning 6 times at this racetrack. We're going to hear from him in a moment, but let's take a look. We're actually going to slip down to victory lane right now. He's climbing out of the car.
When it comes to Daytona Victory Lane, this is the 6th time Bobby Gerhart has climbed on the window victorious. Since they started testing in December, they've been in race mode. Bobby said he was white-knuckled last year, but boy, this year's conservative setup for the Gerhart brothers has paid off big time. Bobby, you came down early. There's a question about how many ounces of fuel are left. How'd you guys do it?
Well, to be honest with you, the package that we've been running, we calculated the little time we had that we could run 66 laps. So, I mean, if you look at the cautions, it just didn't do that, but I did everything I could. I probably got myself 5 laps on the coast, and every caution came out, I just gave it a big kill and did all the coast I could, and it probably has quite a bit left.
Bobby, welcome back to your second home.
Wow. Unbelievable. As a you're a man. As a little kid, I dreamed of having the opportunity to come here and race. You know, when that happened, naturally the passion comes out to try to win. I couldn't have dreamed of being here this many times, and at some point, Jim, I hope I have the pleasure of retiring here in Victory Lane. But I'm gonna lay something on you. I hate the number 6. So.
For 2010, mission accomplished, Bobby.
There you go. We're going to swing for 7. Thank you. I'd like to thank Lucas Oil for everything they do. This car's loaded with all their products. If you can't find that stuff somewhere, give them a call. They'll make sure you get it. Tell them Bobby sent you.
Let's go to Wendy.
And Danica Patrick getting a hug from crew chief Tony Uri Jr. He just said, "I'm real proud of you." On the radio, he said, "You done good," which in stock car talk means it was a pretty impressive run for Danica Patrick. Danica saying it was fun, and of course getting congratulations from Tony Uri. Back to the front, man, what a race for you. How did it feel?
Yeah, well, you know, it was good at the beginning. We were just kind of hanging out. There was lots of yellows, obviously, and then, you know, the car just kind of started to seem like it was sliding around a bit more, and I mean, it feels to me like I got bumped in 1 and 2, and then I kind of slid up the track, and I was a little loose in the kink anyway, which probably could have been from bumping from behind too. But you know, I just couldn't really hang on. I just couldn't hang on, and I went up the track a little, and then I just got shuffled back, and I was trying like heck to get back in. And then once I got back in, I was trying to take a run that we all had down the inside, and they say that you can't cross over the yellow line to improve your position, but everyone was slowing down, so I just followed the one ahead of me, and the guy came down over the front of me, and I just held to the yellow line, and I took myself out, unfortunately, but you can't go over that yellow line. And then I thought, shoot, we're not out of this, right? Why not? Why would we be out of it? And you know, the guys did a good job of doing work in the pits and getting it right, so the tires didn't, you know, blow out from something rubbing. And you know, I was pretty excited to go from last to back to the top 5, I think, again. So, and then I jumped up high, and I was like, whatever, there's 8 to go. Who cares? Let's see who's coming with me. So the car felt pretty good. So. That was really fun. I was going side by side with people. It doesn't look very pretty. The GoDaddy car doesn't look very pretty, but it was fun.
All right, congratulations to Danica Patrick. It feels like a victory with the experience she gained tonight, and she is being swarmed by media members, guys. This was definitely a successful evening in the ARCA series for Danica.
Imagine that. That's the best finish by a female at Daytona since Shauna Robinson finished second back in 1999 here.
And if you didn't see her enough tonight, she'll be on the Super Bowl tomorrow twice.
Hey, mission accomplished for Danica Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I hope she races next week. That was her goal. And
mission accomplished for Bobby Gerhardt. How about the success he can put forth at this racetrack? Just amazing.
He's getting in there in the king territory now.
In that elite category.
In that elite, only 7 wins and 1 more to go.
Coming up next, it's NASCAR Race Day. Thanks for joining us here on Speed. For Jim Trado, Wendy Venturini, Darrell Waltrip, and Phil Parsons, I'm Rick Allen saying thanks for joining us here. We'll be on 9 more times for the ARCA Racing Series during the season.